Good morning, everybody, on this Tuesday. Hope you're having a great one. Going to be nice and sunny. It's going to be hot, but it's not going to be too humid out there. So we hope you have a great day in the outdoors.
Yes, enjoy it.
Yes, Amy Fadul with us today. Amy, how are you?
Very well.
Everything is good?
Always.
Okay, we have Tom Alvord back with us as Ray Dunn is internationally traveling, as it seems to happen with everybody here.
Yeah.
John, Andrew, Ray Dunn. The three of us, I think, are the staple here.
That's right.
We're the only ones that don't leave.
You're
it must be
welcome.
nice.
Yeah. You're welcome. That's right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so we have a lot to get into today, as I said, on the crossover. Just a lot of fun stuff to think about. Hopefully we get some interaction with you with some of the things I'm going to put out there today. But before we do that, of course, you got to look at the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Your Philadelphia Phillies, Amy, I'm going to give you a number right now. 21-6. That's their record this year in the first game of series that they've played.
That's very good.
21-6. Yeah, they brought it up on the broadcast last night that they were 20-6, and of course they got one again last night with an 8-1 win over the Detroit Tigers. The Phillies pounded out 15 hits once again. Just the bats are exploding. Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm. They just combined to go 7 for 10 with 8 RBI. Each had a home run. That's fun to watch.
It sure was.
Yeah, besides the guy batting in front of him, in Trey Turner's hitting like 333 and looks to be, didn't miss a beat or whatever. Harper's now up to 303, 401 on base percentage, 19 home runs, 56 RBI.
His splits are insane.
He hit a laser last night.
There was no doubt about that one.
Absolute laser, which was so cool to watch. Our first subject, pay attention, is going to be about Bryce Harper, and something that a friend of mine said to me as I was sitting in these very offices about an hour ago. So I'm going to bring that up to you guys, see what you think. Alec Boehm now, 313 average, 64 RBI. I'll tell you what, I have so much confidence in those two when they come up to bat. It's really fun to watch right now. A triple play last night, the first of its kind in almost 100 years. A 1-5-3, 1-3-5, 1-3-5.
There you go, yeah.
Triple play, yeah. Just awesome. And it was funny because there was some confusing, it was among the players, among some of the announcers. Like when it happened, it was
the
like,
Tigers guy was just like standing there, like, what happened?
What?
Yeah, you
what's
crossed the
going on
plate
here?
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It's always cool to see a triple play. Aaron Nola's reaction, ho-hum. He got a little bit of a smile there, but at first it was just ho-hum. Speaking of Aaron Nola, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He's now 9-3, lowered his ERA to 3.39. Michael Mercado makes his MLB debut and has a perfect inning. That was cool to see.
Yeah, especially the reaction of his dad and mom sitting there. I love that kind of stuff.
Yes, so do I. Absolutely love that kind of stuff. And they were talking about how tall he looked on the mound. And I said, yeah, he is tall and thin. I was thinking, but for them mentioning it, I thought he was going to be like 6'7", 6'8". I looked it up today. It said he was 6'4".
I think he's just lanky.
Yeah, I guess lanky, but good job by him. And then our man Orion Kirkering comes in and finishes things out. Nasty. Did you see some of those sweepers? I don't like sweeper, but
yeah,
some
kind of a made-up name. But
yeah, the pitches he was. It looks like a game,
and it froze. The batter's just sitting there and just frozen, just like. And there's nothing they can do about it.
No, not at all.
Even if you know what's coming.
Exactly. Aaron Nola had an at bat, against. Where he threw 3 straight knuckle curves, exactly the same spot, 76, 78 miles an hour, exactly the same spot, and it was swing, miss, swing, miss, swing, miss. He was good last night, and that's good to see after he had 2, pretty bad outings. The Braves, they lost 4-3 to the St. Louis Cardinals. That means the Phillies at 52-26. Are 8 games up on the Braves. I thought there was really something cool last night. I don't know if you guys heard it, but on the broadcast, Tom McCarthy brought up that they were sitting with Rob Thompson just talking. And baseball, I always found, we've all covered, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies. And when you have the chance to talk to a coach, a manager, I think baseball, at least my experience, you could sit and talk about more than almost anything because of all the numbers and all the games and all. But Tom McCarthy had a really cool story last night where he said he went in to talk to Rob Thompson, and they were just going back and forth. And Rob Thompson flipped open his computer and said, I've thought for 15 or 20 years that in order to make the playoffs, you have to win 30 series.
I did hear that, yes.
Yeah, did you hear?
Yes,
yeah.
I did.
And I was like, wow. So he broke it down like that. That's what I love about baseball, that you could break things down like that.
And you have to have probably those little kind of benchmarks or milestones throughout this, because it is such a long season.
Oh, yeah.
But I like how he broke it down like, all right, 30 series, and where are they at right now?
Yeah, that to me, that's pretty cool. So the Phillies have won 15 series so far, apparently. Should they win today, that'll be number 16. What else do I have? Oh, they do have the best record in baseball, Lane. I won't say it the way, but they do.
I know you want to, though.
American and National. No, I will not say that. Best record in all of baseball. Tonight, Ranger Suarez takes on Tariq Skubal, who it's like a meeting of two really good young left-handed pitchers. 2.50 ERA for Skubal. He, last two outings, though, 10.1 innings pitched, 8 earned runs. So he's on a little bit of a downslide. You got to look at those things. Hopefully the Phillies, like last night, getting 4 runs in the first inning, hopefully they can jump on Skubal right away. Tomorrow, Spencer Turnbull. That game's at 1:10. So we'll see how this all plays out with the Detroit Tigers. Now, I looked at the weather. I don't know why that came across, but the weather for Detroit is like thunderstorms for most of the day today. So
today?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, it just said, I don't know all of today or what, but hopefully they're able to get that game in. Maybe it won't even be affected. 76ers, what are they going to do? We had, the morning show had David Edelman and Tad Brown in this morning to talk more about the workings of the Sixers getting their own facility downtown. That was very interesting. Tomorrow, the actual between-the-lines stuff as the NBA Round 1 draft is tomorrow night. Reminder, Tyrone and Dee are going to be doing a show there at 8 o'clock tomorrow night at the Sixers practice facility in Camden, so you got to make sure you listen to that. Eagles are 2 days, less than a month from training camp.
There you go.
Okay, so that's exciting. And your Philadelphia Flyers, I like the way John put it. We'll wait until John Clark is at the airport and greeting Matvei Michkov.
Yes, and he'll brush up on his Russian.
Yes, I
think the mic in your face kind of translates, though, with a camera.
Yes, Sixers had he wasn't Russian. He was, I forget. Anyway, they had a masseuse. The Sixers masseuse and I became very good friends. And he was teaching me phrases. They weren't in Russia. I can't remember the language. But, yeah, we used to go back and forth to say hello and have a great day. Jizn Prakazna.
There you go.
Yeah.
You don't even know what it is, though.
No idea. Yeah, exactly. On the national front, the Florida Panthers, they take the Stanley Cup with a 2-1 win over the Edmonton Oilers.
Crazy game.
It was.
Crazy finish, I should say.
Florida came out hitting, and they were hitting all over the place. Early on, play in the corner, guy's helmet goes flying off. I thought it was ABC/ESPN looked really good last night, where in the beginning of the game, they showed 3 Florida Panther players that had, in their description, like, they've fallen off the map as far as offense goes. And then 2 of those guys wind up scoring the goals, which is great. So congratulations to the Panthers, their first Stanley Cup in their 30-year history. Connor McDavid, and it was funny when it was announced, the name popped into my head right away. As soon as they said winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy, Connor McDavid, I said Reggie Leach. And I didn't know that Reggie Leach was last time a losing team had and that was back in 1976, because it is an accumulation of the whole playoffs, and the Florida fans weren't very happy. Connor McDavid, I appreciated even more last night. The game gets over, and, it's the whole celebration and, the greatest tradition in sports, where they wait. The Edmonton Oilers do. They wait for Florida to get done their celebration, then they line up. Connor McDavid first in line. to, greet. And he was, you could see, looking eye, calling guys by name. Way to go. It wasn't that. I'm heartbroken that we lost. Good for him. Skates off, waits by his bench, and waits for every one of his Edmonton Oilers players to come off. Says some things in their ear, hugs, all of that stuff. Just what you want a leader of the team to do. Then it gets announced a little bit later that he won the Conn Smythe and Connor McDavid is nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. In my mind, just mine, and I have no proof, and I didn't hear anything about it. I thought, well, here's a guy that didn't think he was going to win it. He might be in the shower right now. He might be just not available to come out because he didn't think he was going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. Now, you would think somebody from the NHL PR department grabbed him and said, hey, we're going to need you out here. If he did say, I'm okay, it's their celebration.
I'm good with that. That was kind of my thinking. Was he's like, all right, I don't need to be raising up the trophy on their ice.
Yeah, that's
Stanley Cup night.
Me too.
If that's what it was, I don't know that, but that was kind of my thought.
I did see some people though, kind of going at it on Twitter, Tom, and I don't think it's spoiled brat doesn't even come out. I kind of took it by his actions just there, he was. It's your celebration. Thank you. Now, the NHL might be a little ticked off, but what was your thought, Tom?
Yeah, so it's funny because I have a buddy of mine who's hockey's number one for him. And he's like, I just respect the history of hockey. And it was a soft move, to put it lightly, for Connor McDavid to not go out there and accept that trophy. To me, I was like, if Bryce Harper just loses Game 7 of the World Series and then gets the World Series MVP, I'd rather him be sulking with his teammates in the locker room than coming out and accepting an award. Obviously, he's not going to turn it down when it's at the end of everything. He's going to accept this award at some point. I was fine with it. I had no problem. Be with your teammates after one of the worst losses of your life.
Yeah, and it's been a long, long time since Edmonton won a Stanley Cup. I believe 30-plus years.
93, I think.
Is that what it was? Okay, yes, that'd be 31 years. And I thought it was a good game, really good game. It's heightened because of the circumstance, obviously. But they had Connor McDavid out there and Draisaitl out there for so much of the third period.
They had to.
They had to.
Yeah.
And I've never seen hockey players so gassed for the last 5 minutes of a game as you saw that. And it was cool. During the game, there was one, I think they said it was 5.5-minute stretch. There wasn't a whistle. And the only time they got the whistle was when Florida scored.
Yep.
The go-ahead goal, the winning goal.
That's right, yeah.
So those are all the happenings
hockey
we had on a front page going on today. All right. As you guys know, I am still best friends with the friends that I grew up with. The guys I played high school ball with, just sports-wise, family-wise, it's cool. We've seen everything together, and it's awesome. So my friend Rock calls me today when I'm in the offices. And and he starts off right away. Rock's my age. Okay, so we've seen a lot of baseball. Said it without hesitation. Bryce Harper's the best Philly I've ever seen. Now, background. Rock is my age. Rock is a 2-time All-State baseball player. Recruited Division I. Comes from a family that in South Jersey is maybe the best sports family in all of South Jersey in history. Knows sports unbelievably well. And I was like, wow. It made me stop. And he and I were silent on the phone and I know you guys think it's weird, but I do. I talk to my best friends every day.
Yes, I know.
And we were both silent for a minute. And so my first question to him was, where were we when Mike Schmidt hit a home run off of Stan Bonson in 1980 against the Expos? That was the clinching series for them, and they eventually went on to win the World Series. He goes, Cherry Hill Mall, Bambergers. And we were.
Oh, wow.
That's what we did. We were smart enough to say, let's go watch the game in the mall. If they keep kicking us out of places, because they had better TVs than we had.
Right.
If they keep kicking us out, we'll go to the Pennies next, and then we'll go to this one next. But we did. So I said, Mike Schmidt, 2-time MVP, 548 home runs.
Greatest third baseman of all time.
Greatest third baseman of all time. He said, yep, Bryce Harper.
Wow.
And it was funny because my first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about today was, are we taking Bryce Harper for granted a little bit? I don't want to say casually, but we kind of just, and I was listening to Ricky talk about yesterday, and it's kind of what invoked it into my mind. This guy is unbelievable. I mean, it's it's incredible what he does. And what Rock brought up to me, too, was you got to look up his playoff stats. The guy is clutch, too. He may be one of the most clutch players, and I'll have to look up. He might be one of the most clutch players I've ever seen here in Philadelphia.
That's why I call him a red light player.
Yeah. Is it possible he's the greatest? He could become the greatest Philly?
See, that's,
How do we do this?
I think he could become, but he's got to get that thing that Mike Schmidt has.
Another MVP.
No, a World Series.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
I mean, MVP is great. I think there's no doubt he will. I mean, if he keeps on the same trajectory, he will get another MVP. He's having an MVP type of season right now. I think maybe it's quiet because at this point we kind of expect him to bat what he's batting and do what he does, which is maybe, to your point, taking for granted is probably too strong, but it is, the expectation is this. This is the baseline, which is an incredible baseline. You're talking about, such a high level of baseball, what he's playing, and that's our expectation. Our expectation is we need you to play at an MVP level every year. Like, that's what we expect because that's what he's shown us. It's almost like the chicken or the egg. Do you expect it because he's done it, or does he do it because I don't know. But now that we've seen it, that's what we need.
Now, see, the cynicist in me says, wait a minute. As you said, you got the all-time greatest, and my brother-in-law, who just texted me, by the way, who grew up in Baltimore. He argues with me this all the time. Brooks Robinson. And Mike Schmidt had 10 gold gloves,
Mike Schmidt
2 MVPs, 548 home runs. So I'll ask you both. Is Rock off his, out of his mind here to say that?
I don't think he's off his rocker. But
I wasn't going to say that because that sounds like such an old saying.
Well, of course I said it because I'm an old person. When I speak, I have such old person sayings. That's right, fella.
Listen here, fella.
Listen here, fella. I mean, I think that he could go down. There's no doubt in my mind he's a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind that he will win a World Series in a Phillies uniform, and he will go down as one of the greatest Phillies of all time. The greatest Philly of all time? That remains to be seen, but I think he could. I think he gets another MVP, and if he gets a World Series, he's got 2 MVPs in a Phillies uniform, 3 overall, and if he has a World Series, and he's already been to the World Series, I mean, it was funny. I brought this up when I was filling in over the weekend, a couple weekends ago, and I called him a red white player and whatever else, and someone pointed out, like, oh, but look at his postseason stats. Like, he's not that good. I'm like, you're actually wrong on this. But they basically just went to the Diamondback series. I'm like, okay, well, everybody was bad in the Diamondback series. Look at the series before. The guy won the NLCS MVP.
Yeah.
Like, he is a tremendous postseason player. And I think that's what could get him over the edge because he's going to have sustained postseason success. When you think about the greatest Philly, you're one a guy that's had that sustained postseason success, which is hard to do because it's baseball. You're one of many. But
right. Yeah.
I don't think he's completely,
so,
off the mark.
Yeah. So I have the reaction that I have, right, Tom? Because Rock and I always go, he'll often go with the take that's not normal. Everybody in 2022, Jalen Hurts is phenomenal. Rock be like, hold on a second. I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing that. This could be an anomaly, whatever. So he often takes the other side. So when he says this, I go right away, hold on a second. But then I started thinking this, Tom. Mike Schmidt has 10 gold gloves. If Bryce Harper started at first base to begin his career, would he maybe be around there or have a chance to win 3 or 4 more? I don't know. But what do you think about that saying? That we're watching the greatest Philly of all time.
Yeah, it sounds like Rock's a little bit of a hot take artist. Is that right? Maybe he's in the wrong.
No, he's not.
The opposite.
That's why I say Rock and I talk all the time. That's why I start today's show with this because I was so surprised.
Interesting. So, for me, he's the greatest Philly I've ever seen in my life. I never saw Schmidt play.
Yeah.
They're going to be 30
I'm
in
with you on
July.
that.
Yeah, he's the greatest Philly I've ever seen. What the guy's doing, we're absolutely taking it for granted, which sounds crazy to say. It sounds a little bit, I'm always hesitant to compare current players to the greats or current teams to the greatest of all time. I'm just always a little bit more hesitant to do that personally. It sounds like potentially Rock maybe is taking Mike Schmidt for granted a little bit because you mentioned it. 10 gold gloves, multiple MVPs, winning the World Series, doing it here for decades. To me, Harper could get there, like Amy said. There's still a little bit of a ways to go here. Love what I see. Greatest player I've ever seen. Before I start comparing him to Mike Schmidt, someone I didn't even see play,
right.
I need to see a little bit more out of him.
And most of the people out there listening didn't see Schmidt play. This is coming from a guy, and the reason I put Rock's resume out there is because I want you to know he knows baseball. I'll also add to that, he saw all of Mike Schmidt's career like I did. So that's why I think it's such a big statement. And it's funny because it came upon me last night putting our stuff together that I wanted to talk about. Are we overlooking what Bryce Harper is doing? Because expectations, yeah, but he meets
I know,
them,
that's the thing.
right?
Every time.
The expectations are an MVP level season every time. And every time it's like, oh, you better show up in the postseason. Okay, check, did it. You ready? Like, what else? What else do you have for us? And then our bar keeps getting raised every single time. So eventually, it's just as close to perfection as possible.
Yeah.
And you
that's,
mentioned,
that's what it is.
sorry to interrupt.
No.
You mentioned the red light player. It's not just in the playoffs where he is fantastic. Sunday Night Baseball, that guy always steps up on the biggest stage. The London series, what did he do? Hit a home run and slides aside. Like, he is just made for the big moment. And to me, that's what a superstar is, and that's what Bryce Harper is.
Yeah,
And
he rises to the level.
I brought this up. Hopefully, you were with me, Amy. I brought this up a couple of weeks ago when I said to you guys, I said, I noticed something about Harper last night. Like I said, this was maybe even 3 weeks ago. I said, when he came up to the plate last night, and first pitch came, and he saw it, it went to the catcher, and he didn't move. Were you here that day? And I said, and the catcher went to throw back the ball, and he was like, all right, is he going to step out a little bit? Harper didn't move.
Nope.
And he did it all game. And I said out loud to you guys, I said, to me, it looks like he is so locked in. It was like we were taught as basketball players when we were young. If you make the foul shot, don't leave the line because you're doing something right. If you miss it, back out of it. He seems so keyed in. Once he gets in there, I ain't moving because I got success here.
And that's like old school to me. That's like and to Tom's point about trying to compare new players with older players, you think about how the game is different and whatever else. But there's certain mentalities that are still, that carry over. Back in the when they were throwing at guys, it was a little bit more rough and tumble in the 80s and the 90s. I think Harper would have been just fine in that era. Right?
Yeah.
He is a finesse player, but those guys would step in and take one. They would stare down the pitchers, and the pitchers would stare them down. You don't see that as much now, and Harper's absolutely that guy. He will stare the guy down. He doesn't care. This is my plate. The pitcher's going to prove that it's his.
It must be so cool to be able to do that and back it up. Like, we've all talked smack in our life, but sometimes you get a little sheepish as like a 5'10" point guard. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't cover you 6'5" guys anymore.
I'll be over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hopefully I can play next game too, but we'll see. All right, we got a lot on the plate. Yeah, the Connor McDavid stuff. How did you react to that? I mean, he won a major, major trophy. You only have one MVP winner, we'll call the Conn Smythe, of a Stanley Cup playoffs. He won it last night, but when they called his name out, he was nowhere to be found. We're all okay with it. How do you feel maybe about that? We're talking Phillies, Bryce Harper, also Sixers. You got draft tomorrow night. We're going to go through some more names, but also I put together a little something, and it has to do with the last 10 years of NBA champions. They seem to have a common denominator. Not sure if the Sixers have that right now, and can they get it? We'll take a look at all that. Amy's here with us all day long. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back on this beautiful Tuesday as the sun is shining. Real windy yesterday. Amy and I were talking about this. It was a weird day. Like it wasn't that hot. I mean, mid 80s or whatever, but the wind was just ridiculous. I was cleaning up the backyard like all day long. So I sat outside. I was watching the Phillies. 8 o'clock comes. I'm going back and forth. Phillies, Stanley Cup, all that. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, my God, what happened? You know how when a front goes through with rain, you see it leave?
Yes.
You don't see wind leave. All of a sudden, it was still as could be for the rest of the night. So that was good if you have, hopefully, everybody's okay. But there was a lot of, like, little limbs and stuff like that in my neighborhood.
Branches, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Little branches, but branches.
Just crazy stuff, but hope everybody's having a great Tuesday, as we call it. It is the skunked day of the week, but we'll get through it somehow, some way. As your Philadelphia Phillies go again tonight, great pitching matchup. Rangers going to be on the mound for the Phillies. Always love watching the Phillies when Rangers on the mound. He just seems to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he's just such a cool customer, too.
And
right?
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize whoever put it out. And if I find it, I'll give them credit. Somebody on Twitter, and I guess it was reputable because I don't think I'd be mentioning it, said that something could be coming up with a Ranger Suarez contract extension. So we'll see. Dave Dombrowski just handing out the money left and right. We also had some other Twitter news, Tom, that you wanted to let us know about.
Yeah, got a little bit of breaking news here.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
So Charlie O'Connor does a fantastic job covering the Philadelphia Flyers. He quote tweets something on Twitter, and this is a Russian Twitter account, but Charlie basically says, SKA makes it official. Matvei Michkov's KHL contract has officially been terminated. It's real. He is coming to the Flyers. So it's according
real
to this Twitter account that Matvei Michkov's coming to Philadelphia.
I am in complete agreement with John Kincade that, not that I'll believe it when I see it, but I can't wait to see him at the airport. John Clark walking next to him. Big Dom. Somebody's going to be
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Dom.
They need this. They need a little excitement. Something go their way.
It's such a good shot in the arm for an organization that has just been flatlining.
Yeah, mired away a little bit.
Mired in mediocrity.
Yeah.
That's probably
maybe that's a little too high.
That would be a step up if they were mired in mediocrity.
They've just been kind of like they also ran. And I feel, when there's just been so much excitement between Red October and the Eagles, run into the Super Bowl and the Sixers, at least making the playoffs. And it's just like the Flyers, you kind of feel bad for them being the afterthought the last couple of years. Nice to get a little boost.
Yeah, it is.
It's more than a little boost. It's a big boost.
It is a big boost. And, one of the boosts that they had in the last couple of years was, you got a goalie. Finally, you got a goalie that's going to be here for a long, long time. And then, the off-the-ice stuff that happened with Carter Hart, you're back to kind of starting that all over again. And is Fedotov the answer? Fedotov. I got to say,
Halfway
I never heard of a Russian that was spelled like that wasn't Fedotov, but it's Fedotov. He's different. I wonder if Michkov is going to change by the time he gets over here. We'll see how it all plays out. Dave and Ben Salem wants to talk little Phillies. Dave, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Good morning, Amy.
What's up, buddy? How are you, Dave?
Radio. Always start my day off nice when I hear you guys on the air.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
We appreciate you.
So, I want to touch Phils for a little bit, and then just a quick question for you and Amy about the Sixers draft tomorrow. So, watching the game yesterday, great game, unbelievable. 4 runs in the first inning was definitely a big lift for Nolan.
Agree. Hey, I think he pitches much more smoothly, right, Dave?
Without a doubt. Took a lot of pressure off him. But Tom McCarthy brought up an interesting stat last night during the game. He said last year at this time, they were 9.5 games out of the first place. So, obviously, right now, if I'm correct, they have an 8-game lead.
Yes, 8 games
correct.
up on the Braves right now.
Which is very important. I just keep comparing this team, Bob, not necessarily to the 93 team, but how great of a start the 93 team got off. And they just had such a big lead. If you remember, Bob, I know me and you go back that far. They couldn't blow it. They were horrible in the second half, but they had such a big lead, they were able to win the division.
Yeah, no question about it. And you know baseball, Dave. Most teams.
I love it. It's my favorite sport ever.
Pretty much every team is going to win 60 games, and every team is going to lose at least 60 games, right?
Without a doubt. And then to touch on the Sixers, so I don't hold you up too long. I know we're picking 16th. Like I said, do you think you guys have any inside information on who they're targeting in this draft?
None. No,
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're going to
I-
stay
yeah,
in the first round of the
Better
draft.
chance that they don't.
There's a lot of
pick.
European players coming out
Yes.
this year, and I'm wondering if they're going to go that route. And I don't think they're going to trade the pick away, but I guess we'll see what happens. That's why it'll be great to listen to Tyrone and Dee tomorrow.
Yeah,
You guys have a great day. I love you. Thank you so much for being there for me.
Thanks, Dave.
course,
You're the
Dave.
best. Take care of yourself. We've read all the names. We've gone up and down, pretty much everybody at that 16 spot. Look, I'm not going to lie. If they have a guy slotted in one of the mock drafts that I see from France who averaged 11 points and, 8 rebounds, sorry, I don't know who the hell he is.
Yeah, we looked
I'm
him up
gonna
on
be
YouTube.
honest. Yeah, we did a lot of the college prospects, a lot of players that we saw around. I saw one local media guy say, yeah, stay at 16 and get that prominent player that's going to take you over the top.
The guy's not at 16, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's there.
He might not be at 1.
Yeah, exactly. In this draft, no. Now,
That's an odd
I
draft.
did say they got to hit on somebody. Somehow,
Yeah.
some way, you got to hit on somebody. Like, I don't know, you bring somebody over from another team, you're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
this guy fits in well. This guy is a really good piece. Even more so than the Kelly Oubre did. You know what I mean?
Like a KCP type.
Yeah, something. That's a known commodity. So, yeah, maybe he comes in and you're like, oh, okay, he's
All right.
exactly what you thought he was. I don't know.
They have to
We'll
have a couple of
see.
those.
Yeah, but at the 11 o'clock hour, I did some research. I actually, I studied for this show today, Aim. And I
at you.
wrote some things down, and my mind was like it was pretty
going.
cool. Yeah. So at 11 o'clock, I have an interesting subject I want to bring up, and it might get some reaction from people. Bill in Utah wants to talk Stanley Cup. Bill, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Bill.
Bill's
Bill.
gone. Oh well.
All right.
Maybe
Bill.
he'll get back
Bill,
to us.
call
It's
back.
early in Utah. It's only
Yeah.
Is Utah
7?
2 or 3? Like
I don't know.
I used to hate that.
Maybe
when
it's
I was,
only 2.
Yeah.
The mountain time out there, so it's 8:38.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we will.
Bill will let us know when he calls back what time it is there.
Yes, he will. That's the great thing about cell phones, that they just automatically go to the time where you are. Because there were
Exactly.
many
And
times
we're
I was
like-
on a plane where I would have my phone off, because back in the day you had to turn
And then you turn
on.
it on. Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, well, where am I going again? And what
Where
time
am
is
I?
it going
What
to be
time is it?
there? And all
Turn
of
it on,
those kind
and
of
it
things.
magically updates.
That's right. Wow.
I love that.
The magic of what the world is right now, Aim. Okay, we've talked about these Phillies so much this year, and rightfully so. Best team in baseball. Best record in baseball, too, Amy.
Yes.
Just so you know.
BRB.
What's the biggest key to this Phillies team? So we kind of, it's hard not to bring up things. You already talked about that. Yeah, we know where we are in this period of life. Eagles are nowhere to be found for another month, which is fine. Flyers, great news there, but, we know where that falls. Sixers draft tomorrow night. All right, great, but they're also probably going to pick a guy. They might pick a guy that a lot of people out there never heard of. The Phillies are so good that I brought this up. Who's your Phillies MVP? I brought it up about 3 weeks ago. We all had different answers, which I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of sort of the same thing, but it broadens it a little bit when I ask you this. What's the biggest key to this Phillies team? If you want this Phillies team to get where we expect, where we want, or to have just say a long playoff run, what's the biggest key? I'll start with you.
That's you mean the biggest key to keep going at the
Biggest key
current-
for them to have success this year.
Interesting. I guess the first thing I always think of is pitching, because I think that's the most important thing in the postseason. But I'll say
Well, you can say pitching.
no. You know what? Because I'm not that.
You're going to
feeling-
take all the answers,
I
and
will.
then you're going to...
And I'm going to be like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about this yet. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say consistent hitting at the bottom of the lineup.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, who do you want that to be at the bottom of the line? Because I
Or
did
the
make
right fielder to keep doing what he should be doing.
right fielder who, when you have a full lineup, will hit 7th.
Brandon Marsh.
Brandon Marsh 8th.
Yes.
Who's your 9th hitter?
It's Rojas.
Yeah, okay.
If he doesn't, I don't. Okay. I'll give me 6, 7, 8. 9 is just, I don't. If he gets 200, great. Good job.
Yeah, I'd almost work on his defense
Yeah.
down in
I think-
AAA as much as I'd
yeah.
work on his offense.
Bunting.
Yeah.
Laying down a good bunt is a very good art form, and I think that he doesn't have it, and I think it's a really important skill, and it could be something very useful, because if he gets on base, we know what he can do. He can steal and then obviously create different
Exactly.
situations. I think that is important for him. So for Rojas, you have 2 things. I don't want to see any misplayed balls in center field ever.
Yeah.
That's literally your job. That's
Mental
the only thing
mistakes
you're
I
doing.
can't see out there
Yeah,
either.
not knowing where to throw it into.
Yeah.
And just like, well, don't do that. I don't care if you hit 200 the rest of the day.
Amy sounds like a mother so much. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
This,
yeah.
Don't do that. And bunting, because the other stuff will take care of itself. I don't really care if he bats 250 the rest of the way. 200. That's all. But I need you to have clean defensive play in center field, and I need you to know how to lay in a situation that we need it. Lay down an excellent bunt to get on base and create some, offense that way.
Yeah,
but really
him,
for me, the bottom of the lineup is a big key to having real sustained success.
Yeah, and I'm confident with Castellanos batting 6th or 7th and Marsh hitting 8th. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine. Rojas, I need him laser focused in the outfield all the time. Like, there can't be any let up. Tom, what's the biggest key for you in order for the Phillies to carry this success?
I trust this team's starting pitching. I trust this team's bullpen, and I think they add another bullpen piece. I think the biggest thing to me is smart and consistent plate approaches throughout the entire season. I think that was the reason that the season ended. The biggest reason the season ended last year is you went absolutely cold. Guys were trying to pull. Guys were trying to do too much. I feel like the approach at the plate has been really good for a lot of these guys for a majority of the season. Castellanos is starting to have a good approach at the plate. If you can keep that consistency, I don't think you'll hit those cold streaks as often or as in a big moment like you did last year in the playoffs. So it's smart, consistent plate approaches throughout the entire rest of the season.
Yeah, it's funny. I have mine. Maybe you have yours. What's your biggest key for the Phillies to carry on this wonderful season that they have going right now? Kind of general. Amy put it in the bottom of the order. You can talk whatever. If you want to get more specific, feel free. 610-632-0975 is how you reach us. We'd love to talk to you. If you can't talk and you want to send a text, feel free to do that. But that's the first question we're going to put out there to you today. What is your biggest key for the Phillies to carry on what has been a wonderful season so far? This is Middays. Amy Fadul with us all day long. I'm Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, or thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate it. Bob Cooney here along with Amy Fadul. Tom Alvord producing today as Ray Dunn. I'll bet you right now he's probably...
Tweeting?
No, he says he was going to put his phone away.
No.
He goes, look, dude, if I don't answer you, it's nothing personal, but I am putting my phone away. I was like, good for you. 24 years old, you're going to have the ability to put your phone away for 4, 5, 6 days? You don't believe he will?
No.
Have you texted him, or?
No, I just know he was on Twitter.
Are you looking at his
was
Twitter
he?
account right now?
I didn't look at anything. I actually put my phone away last night.
Well, he does the Ring It challenge. Right?
Oh, okay,
So he
yeah.
had that last night, and then this morning he had another tweet. It was 2 hours ago,
Oh, did he really?
8:44 a.m.
Look at Ray Dunn.
That's the other reason I saw it, because it was something about Harper, and I was just doing a search on Harper, and I saw it. It's his Harper's 141st home run as a Philly.
Now, I got to tell you, if
There you go.
I'm not going to say where he is, but if I'm like,
Listen, the man's brain, he's probably up thinking, hey, I forgot to update my Ring It challenge. I'm going to go ahead and put it out.
It's all about content and staying
Right.
consistent.
I don't know. I got to tell you, maybe I'm different. Tom, you're on a beach somewhere for a week. You feel the need to like post anything or to like,
What if it's your brand?
Hey.
It's your brand.
We had a wedding in Punta Cana 2 years ago. It was the 2020 season before they went to the World Series.
Right.
And it was when Harper ended up breaking his hand and went out for that long amount of time. I didn't find out till 3 days later.
Whoa.
Because I just turned everything off completely because I was like, I'll worry about it when I get home.
like, I got to be honest, if I'm away, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on things or whatever, but I'm certainly not interacting. I'm just looking for knowledge. Like, I am not interacting. No chance, no way.
No?
No, I don't like. First of all, I'm of the belief nobody gives a rat's ass what Bob Cooney's doing. Like,
I always do think something.
Hey, here I am in Park City, Utah. I don't think anybody
People do.
cares.
People do.
People do. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, I honestly, I don't care. Okay, well, then the next time I'm watering my plants, I'm going to put some, hey, here I am watering my plants. Nobody cares.
I'll like it. That'd be a
I
favorite.
sure will.
I don't know. So Amy and I were just talking about eating crabs on the during the break. I haven't had crabs in a while, and I showed her a picture. So my brother-in-law's out crabbing today, and he made 2 runs with the boat. That's it, up and down the line.
That's an incredible haul.
And I showed Amy the bushel, and he's got like half a bushel.
Yeah.
It looks like. Yes, so he's doing well. And then Amy's mother-in-law sent her a text saying, "Oh, we got to plan a crab night."
Yes.
Oh man, I am jonesing for some crabs right now too. So
Coming up.
hopefully, yeah. My actually, my sister and brother-in-law are coming up for a happy hour with my friends at my house, and they're going to bring crabs up.
There you go.
So yeah, very excited for that. But we're talking about a lot of things today: NHL, Phillies. We're going to get into some real good Sixers talk. I think real good at 11 o'clock, as I have something that I want to put out there for everybody. But Bill in Utah is back, and he wants to talk some hockey. Bill, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, first off, Bob, I would know if you were in Park City, Utah. All right.
That's a good point.
I would
That's a
call
good
you,
point.
but I wouldn't have to share it with a lot of people.
No. We could do some fun thing, man. I'll take you out to my trailer up in the mountains, and we can have a good weekend, man.
I love Park
So,
City.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It really is. Even in the summertime, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll have the Olympics up there again in a couple of years, it seems like. So, so last night's game, you want to touch on that trophy, Conn Smythe to
Sure.
McDavid last night. I don't have a problem with him not being outside, bad on the rink getting it. It must have felt like, when you were a kid and there was a 16 league and you finished 6th place and you still got a trophy.
Not when I was a
That's what
kid,
I'm
Bill. We didn't get trophies.
Or a ribbon or what, or a plaque, certificate or whatever. That's what it must have felt like for him. And I was hoping that they would make the completion, the history. And the other thing on Bryce Harper, you're talking about being the greatest, what needs to be done for him to be the greatest Philly of all time. Off the air, if you could just go over what his stats are as a Philly, because I don't think just winning one ring is going to get it done. I mean, there's been other players that have won, and they're not considered the greatest. I mean, how close does he have to come to Mike Schmidt's numbers, and how realistic is that? So I'll listen to that.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, thanks so much, Bill. Appreciate it. And the weird thing is, Schmitty spent his whole career here, obviously, so everything is Philadelphia. Then with Bryce Harper, we have to be honest with ourselves. We didn't watch every Nationals game when he was there.
We didn't like him.
Yeah, we didn't like him, and the only time you saw him, you wanted him to be defeated.
Right.
And, famously, Cole Hamels hits him in the ass with a pitch in his rookie year to say, like, yo,
welcome.
Yeah, we're the stars here. You're just a kid right now. So it is going to be different. But if you're just joining us, as I started the show, a friend of mine called me about an hour before the show when I was here in the offices to say Bryce Harper's the best Philly I've ever seen. This is a friend of mine who was my age, who saw Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, all those guys play. And I was like, wow. And we were both silent for a minute. And he said he thoroughly believes it, that, we are seeing the greatest Philly playing right now. Now, Bill just made a great point. He has to do a whole lot more to even enter the stratosphere of Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt is, as Amy said earlier, the greatest third baseman of all time.
No question.
Bryce Harper probably won't go down as the greatest Philly of all time.
I mean, that's Mike Schmidt right now until you dethrone
First
him.
baseman.
Oh, you said Philly. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Greatest Phillies
No.
first baseman of all time. You
just don't think of him as a first base. I mean, he is a first baseman.
That's
I get
the
it. And by
thing.
the time he's done, he will have had a lot more seasons at first base. How many years does he have left on his contract?
Oh, he goes till
15,
20, 33.
25.
Yes.
He's there. He's playing until he's 76 years
Yeah.
old.
He's going to sign an extension probably. in the
Probably
offseason.
is, actually.
They're giving him away. You get one,
Right.
and you get one.
So he's got what? He'll have 10 years, let's say, as a first baseman. I mean, no, I think that he's done a good job at first base, but at the greatest first baseman in Phillies history, is that Ryan Howard?
It's got to be Ryan Howard, I would think. I mean,
Get a couple more of those moon shots, and then maybe we'll put you up there.
yeah. So it's just an interesting conversation because last night I talked about I was getting ready to talk about today. Are we taking Bryce Harper for granted? I mean, we're watching unbelievable baseball. And Amy said earlier his splits are incredible. He's in the running for MVP again right now.
I think he's a front runner.
Shohei Ohtani's had some great numbers out there in L.A. I don't know if he can uphold them. If he does, I don't know. Mookie Betts was there, broke his hand. So, that kind of falls by the wayside. But it's interesting. Are we taking Bryce Harper for granted? Or let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Are we, as my friend Rock is saying, best Philly of all time could become that? Are we outlandishly saying things like that? It's almost like the game we played yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's a great conversation only because he is playing such great baseball right now. It is just so much fun to watch. Hey, I want to tell you that 10 o'clock hour is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Okay, when we get back, I have some NBA stuff concerning the Sixers over the last 10 years that I want to bring up to you to have a good conversation about it. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us here on our midday show. Bob Cooney with Amy Fadul. Tom Alvord is producing, as I'm just reading. Tom says there's some stuff coming up. We're going to get to your texts real soon. We've talked about the NHL. Connor McDavid gets named the Conn Smythe winner last night at the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Florida gets their first cup in team history. And Connor McDavid, only the second player on a losing team, I believe, or at least the second since Flyer Reggie Leach in 1976 when they got swept by the Montreal Canadiens. I was really ticked as a 10-year-old back then. Very, very upset. But he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy last night, does Connor McDavid. Doesn't come out to accept the trophy, shake Gary Bettman's hand. Did you guys see Gary Bettman last night talking?
Yeah.
I texted a friend who's, very much in the NHL, and I wasn't being mean at all. But I was like, does Gary Bettman have a little something going on with him? Because he was literally like shaking as he was talking. And I don't want anything to be wrong with anybody. It's cold out there. And he said, no, he's always been like that. When he gets in front of large crowds, he just gets really wonky. And I thought that was strange for a guy that's the head of, National Hockey League. But Bettman was out there doing what he does last night as the Florida Panthers, as we said. They win a Stanley Cup. You get a Stanley Cup.
You get a Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup.
First time in their franchise history.
You're going to wait 50-plus years to get another one, and that's where we are right now. But we did have some news earlier that Tom broke for us, some breaking news, that it is official, we can say, Tom, right?
It's his Russian team's official a Twitter account tweets out that his contract has been terminated.
And we're talking about Matvei Michkov. So waiting for him to get over here to the United States. I think that'll be a big relief for all of us. If you look back at the history of Matvei Michkov, his father, there's crazy things that have gone on there. So can't wait to get him on American soil and let the process begin. The sooner the better. Learn everything, get over here and do it all. Okay, tomorrow night you have the NBA draft. And the morning show was lucky enough to interview pretty much anyone that ever talked about the Sixers in the history of their lives. They had interviews with David Edelman. They had Tad Brown. They had Kate Scott. They had Keith Pompey. They grabbed some people off the streets because, you don't want to work at that early in the morning. You just want other people to talk. So that's basically what they did today. Unlike us.
We're really going to deep dive in there.
We did. We deep dove, and Amy and I were talking about a thing off the air yesterday that we carried through all night long. She was sitting at the baseball game last night, jotting down some notes on this. So I carried it through even further. Right now on the Philadelphia 76ers, you pretty much have one major player under contract in Joel Embiid.
Correct.
We went through a plethora of names yesterday, and I was telling.
I think we came away with one guy.
I was telling Dave Schaller, he was also in here with the morning show too, who is Sixers PR guru. And I told him about this exercise we did yesterday, and he was smiling. He heard it. And I said, we put out like 15 names, and none of them came over at like 20% to be on the Sixers maybe. I was like, who the hell are you guys going to put on the court? Then it made me think further about this. We talk stars, and you got to go out and get a star and the big three and all that stuff. Let's look at the last 10 NBA champions. I think each of them, forget star and all that, each of them had three players that would start on any team in the NBA. Now, I started thinking of this last week, and I was like kind of throwing it around my head exactly how I'm going to say it. And I'm looking at YouTube this morning when John and Andrew were on, and our friend MBDBDF, whatever, he put the question out there. Would Tyrese Maxey start for the Boston Celtics this year?
Yeah.
I think he would. But he could be a bench player for them because that's how good they are. I mean, God bless you.
Sorry.
I think that's how good they are. That's a piece. So anyway, I started to think in my head, okay, the Sixers need to get three players that could start for anybody in the NBA. So I'll give Maxey that he could. I think Joel Embiid would probably start for every team in the NBA. So I said, has it been like this for the last 10 years, championships? Now, the names I'm going to give you, you have to remember them that year.
Right.
Okay, that year. 24 Celtics. I think Tatum, Brown, and Holiday would start for any team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Pretty cool? All right, you guys are in agreement there. Your 23 champions, the Denver Nuggets. Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. I'm pretty sure all three of them could start for every team in the NBA. Michael Porter Jr. might be the one guy that you say, well, I don't see him being a bench guy, though. I don't see him coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think the exercise you have to remember, he's not replacing one of your players. Like, he's not competing. It's just like if he is on your team, he is a starter.
Exactly.
So that's it. So when you first brought this up, I was like, oh, is he going to be better than? I was like, no.
Right.
But that's not the exercise.
Michael Porter Jr. would have started for every
Correct.
team in the league in 2023. 2022, you go to the Golden State Warriors. This might be one. Steph Curry can start for any team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson that year could start for any team in the NBA.
Yes.
The question is Draymond Green.
No.
At that time, he averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 assists.
And 4.5 fouls.
That's your argument there.
Yeah. I think I get your point. Is he a bench player? I think there's some teams that even at that year he would have been a bench player, depending on the rest of their team. But, you can make the argument that he was a starter.
Okay, so there's one. All right, don't forget we're doing 10 full years here. In 2021, the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday.
Yes.
I think we're good there. The 20 Lakers, here's another one. LeBron James,
Yes.
Anthony Davis.
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of Alex Caruso.
Yeah, that was a wonky year, too, because it was pandemic and all of that, and there was,
Bubble.
different guys there. So that might be, but you're also talking about
Two of the
greatest and the best scorer ever in the history of the NBA. So maybe a little bit of an outlier. 2019, now you have to remember, go back to that time.
That's Raptors, right?
Yes, the Raptors, Kawhi Leonard,
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
At that time, a 24-year-old up-and-coming star in Pascal Siakam. I think he would have started for every team in the NBA back then.
Yes.
Okay. The 17 and 18 Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Enough
That's
said.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Right? The Cleveland Cavaliers in 16. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and at that time, Kevin Love.
Yes.
Yes.
15 Warriors. Now, 15, Draymond was a whole lot better than he was that we gave then.
That's a yes.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, we're going to agree. Go to the 10th team, the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So my point is this. We talk stars and you got to do this. I'm going to dumb it down a little bit. I'm going to say you got to get 3 guys that could start for every team in the NBA. Now, I think Tyrese Maxey's there. And once they sign him, and he's part of the 76ers, you have one. I honestly think Joel Embiid is 2. Is Brandon Ingram a guy that starts on every team in the NBA?
I mean, every team? Yeah, I think he probably does. If he is on your team, he is a starter. He's not a bench guy to me.
Right, because
that's tough.
That's good. So that's good. But that's where my mind is starting to go.
Yeah. I feel like your point is like star player, yes, but really what you're looking for is an all-star. Like a Derek White type of vibe.
Yeah. Would
But maybe
Derek White start for every team in the
Start
NBA?
for most of them.
Most of them, yeah.
Almost all?
Almost all. Sure. Yeah, I just thought it
I don't
funny
know.
that, we talk star and you got to go with the big 3 and all. All right, give me 3. Is it 3 guys that could start on every team in the NBA?
That is probably a better way to look at it.
Right?
So I think Ingram would his defense is a little suspect at times.
And his availability is a lot suspect.
So there's concerns there, but in an ideal world, I would think most teams, if they had Brandon Ingram, they would start him.
Yeah, it's just like a fun exercise of how do you break down who's really important as far as free agents.
Right.
Okay? Now, Siakam's off the board. Malik Monk's off the board. I'm just looking on a list here. LeBron James, Paul George, yes.
OG Anunoby's probably off the board, too.
Yes. Klay Thompson, I don't think – I think there's real concern that he's lost it.
At this point in his career, yes.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to be looking for like a minimum type of – I don't know that anybody's going to give him a contract.
Right.
Like a legitimate contract.
I agree.
Maybe a 1-year deal to prove it, but I don't think so.
Gordon Hayward isn't that guy.
No.
Kyle Lowry certainly isn't that guy. DeMar DeRozan. No. But would he probably start for every team in the NBA? I can't imagine DeMar DeRozan. But he is 35 years old. And if he goes to a really good team and they say, hey, we have a really good team, and you'd be that great spark and we'll save your legs off the bench, maybe.
Maybe.
And I'm trying to think like money-wise as well, because obviously these guys are making a lot more money. They're more inclined to start. So I'm almost kind of removing money from this. Like the player itself, would you be able to start?
Yeah, if he was on your team.
Yeah, like money aside here. Like if Brandon Ingram's making $40 million, he's probably starting for your team no matter what. So I'm kind of moving money aside in this conversation and just looking at the player.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because this morning Keith Pompey was on the morning show and they're talking about trading for whether it's Jimmy Butler or trading for Paul George, should he opt in, and then a trade be needed. So I texted Keith, and I haven't been up on this CBA. I got to be honest. Like when I was covering the team, it was funny. I remember Ed Stavansky and I passed each other going down the steps at PCOM one time, and he had under his arm literally a book that said CBA 101. And I was like, Ed, seriously? He goes, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. Yeah. He said to me, he goes, Bob, I considered myself a smart man. I have to do a lot of reading for this stuff. So I texted Keith and I said, is it still okay? And it's a salary cap thing, and it's what I thought, that if you're under the salary cap, you can trade draft picks for players. Right. The money, there's no even of money or stuff like that. And also, the Sixers are in a spot there. But if they trade, if Paul George opts in, the Sixers are basically throwing away their future. They're going to have to give away a lot of draft picks for him.
Yeah, because it'll have to. That's the thing. Like something has to match.
Yeah. They have 5 first-round picks coming up. Keith said it starting tomorrow. 5 first-round picks coming up. You're not getting Paul George for like a first-rounder and, okay, we'll sign Paul Reed and send him to you or something like that. Like, that ain't happening.
Yeah, the appeal with Paul George was you could just sign him and still keep your assets around
exactly.
you.
But if he opts in, you're kind of screwed.
And that because then
I think the Clippers know that though.
Sure they do.
Not only are you trading assets to get this guy, you're also then giving max money that you would get from the Clippers, 4 years, $200 million for a guy who's 34 years old.
You've really hemmed yourself in.
Yeah, it loses its luster for me. I talked myself into Paul George a little bit because you'd be able to just sign him. If that ability goes away, I'm a lot more hesitant.
Well, that's why my hesitancy on Butler was there from the beginning. Sure. But then it also grew in that I don't want 35-year-old Jimmy Butler right now. Yes, 5 years ago, great, would have loved it. I don't want to revisit that. I just don't think, and it's just me, I just don't think I like that right now for the Sixers.
So you say 5 years ago. Before this year, it was 3 of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals had Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat in it, dragging guys like Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. So that's like my only argument.
Wait, did you say dragging Bam Adebayo?
Yeah, Bam's
He's
fine.
An all-star.
It's fine. Bam's fine. Would he start on the Sixers? 6-1? No.
Yeah.
Bam, I think Bam's fine. If Bam is your second best player on your team, I'm not thinking a championship contender. But Jimmy and look, Eric Spoelstra's there. It's a great organization. Yeah. I think sometimes we can forget how good Jimmy is. I'm not saying I definitely do it. It's a huge risk, but
I'm not saying I'm right either. I'm just saying how I feel, right?
If this year, if he stayed healthy, and he didn't, he got hurt in that Sixers series, I think Boston is very worried about playing Miami in the first round, and a big part of that is because of Jimmy Butler and how he is in the playoffs. So that's just my one argument for the people that are into Jimmy Butler coming here.
Yeah, and if he does sign in, if Paul George decides to opt in, it also allows him to have more places maybe to go to in a trade type of thing or a better situation maybe. I don't know. I like his opting in.
Yeah, it's interesting because the opt-in, okay, then he's on technically a 1-year deal, right?
Right, exactly.
So here we have a 1-year deal. He's a guy that's looking for another contract. So any conversations they have after that, after the opt-in, whether for the trades, are going to include that.
Right.
He's not going to say yes to anything beyond that. I guess the end result could be that he just stays there and plays out the 1-year deal if he doesn't get anything and the Clippers don't get anything. I don't think that'll be the case, but he's opting in to basically turn his 1-year deal, which is what it would be, into a 3 or 4 year deal to get a max deal.
Scoba Steve is questioning our basketball knowledge. Yes, Scoba. You're right. We don't watch basketball.
We watch a lot more
haven't covered
out
the
of
league
games.
for
maybe he's really jazzed about
30
Gordon
years
Hayward.
combined. But I was reading a list of names as I said on a.
Those games. Really,
it's just that I'm kind of getting to the part where
it's going to have the trades are going to have to be like really, really creative because that's where the players are going to
right. And a third team getting involved and all of those things. But man, it is. are we going to are you leaning towards, yeah, something great's going to happen, it's something big's going to happen, a big star's got to come here, going to come here? Or if we're being more realistic, is it more likely that no, LeBron's, and Keith Pompey said this, who covers team, LeBron's out, done. That's not going to happen. Paul George with this opting-in stuff, it kind of gets wonky. What I do like is that it was the other day, I think, when I went into Tom's studio, and ESPN had on there, what's the better fit for Paul George, Clippers or Sixers? So they're like, whoa, they knocked it down to just the two teams. Jimmy Butler, I don't think is going to happen. I don't think they're going to give up assets and all that to get Jimmy Butler. So, like, what? I mean, is Brandon Ingram a settlement for you guys? Is that like, well, we had to go out and get somebody, so they went and got Brandon Ingram?
I just feel like, I don't know that the only star I was ever really sold on was LeBron, and that was such a pipe dream. I never really settled on it, right? I never talked myself into Paul George. I was never on board with that, but that was just me. That's my own personal opinion. If I had to choose one, if I needed somebody, I thought, well, if of those three, Jimmy Butler made the most sense.
Right.
Though giving up whatever it would have taken, I was not on board for. But if just the name alone and the fit, I thought, well, of those three, I would take Jimmy Butler. I was never big on Paul George. That's just me personally. But I was always of the mindset, and we've talked about it before, get as many good fits as you can. Just load them up. Because we have yet to see, aside from 2019, where something really worked that well with Joel Embiid as the centerpiece. That was the makeup that you wanted. You wanted a creative and very, very strong point guard play. And Ben Simmons, who when he liked basketball, that's what he was. He doesn't like it anymore, and therefore he's not that. You had a good three-point shooter in J.J. Redick. You had a guy that did everything for you and then some on every end of the court in Jimmy Butler. And, of course, then you had Joel Embiid. That's the makeup you want. You add in a nice little point guard, and I feel like you can get back there. That's what I need. I need a creating, really, really strong, big point guard.
Yeah.
They had it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, too. I would love to see it.
But you got to find that guy.
And most of the point guards that were out there that we went over the other day, they hover around that 6'1", 6'2" area, and that just makes you kind of too small in that backcourt if you have a Tyrese Maxey there also.
You just need ideally, you'd like to have size. I mean, if the player can play, obviously you can make it work. But ideally, with a 6'3" point guard, you'd like to have somebody a little bit bigger to kind of, a 6'3" guard in Maxey, obviously a combo guard. You'd like to have somebody a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Just ideally.
And you're not always going to get, obviously, I talk about this a lot. You're always looking for perfection in sports. You're not always going to find it. You might ideally have in your mind, well, if I'm going to team a guard with 6'2" Tyrese Maxey, I would like to have a 6'5", bulky, strong guard out there with him. Ideally. I don't know. What if you brought in a 6-foot guard and it worked perfectly, which has happened in the past where you're like, wow, I didn't see that. Nobody thought Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic were going to be able to play together this year. And as I said before, talking to people around the league before the season started, it was a real doubt that might happen. You just don't know. That's where I sit right now with the 76ers, this draft moving forward. People ask me and ask all of us all the time, and we all talk about it with our YouTube friends. What do you think's going to happen? Being honest, I just don't know. And I can't say they're going to get one of the big three that we've talked about. It looks like they're not.
I mean, I hesitate to even call those three the big three.
Well, the big three as far as talking points. Yeah, exactly.
The biggest names.
Yeah,
but realistically, Paul George was probably the only one. Jimmy Butler, you're going to have to give up a lot, or more than you would want to get him. And then you wonder if the value is going to equate to what you gave up. And LeBron James was probably never leaving L.A.
Yeah, so it's so interesting of what's going to go on. Reminder that Dee and Tyrone will be over at the 76ers complex tomorrow night. They will be broadcasting starting at 8 o'clock, talking about everything that's going on with the Sixers tomorrow night, whether it's trade, whether they sit at 16 and draft. It'll be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in on that. All right, we got something coming up later on the week, and I don't get political on the show, and none of us really does. But there's this thing called a debate that's going to happen later on this week. I want to talk to you guys about debate and get some input on it as it comes to sports. I'll let you know exactly what I'm talking about when we get back. Amy Fadul's with us all day long. I'm Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. A lot on the table today that we're talking about. We started out on our national front on the front page talking about Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's the second non-goalie to win it since Reggie Leach in 76. There have been 6 winners of the Conn Smythe Trophy on the losing team.
There you go.
Yeah, 66, Roger Crozier. Why should you know that name, Aim? Well, because he was in goal for the Buffalo Sabres when the Flyers won their second Stanley Cup. He replaced the regular goalie, who I think was, I forget, but left-hander, I remember, and the Flyers beat him. In 68, another goalie for the Blues, Glenn Hall. In 76, it was Reggie Leach, as he had a phenomenal playoff series. Ron Hextall and the Flyers won it in 87, another goalie when they lost to the Edmonton Oilers. And then there's a couple of, as my page broke down there's a couple of more goalies after that. And then Connor McDavid last night for the Edmonton Oilers. So we're talking about him not coming out to receive the Conn Smythe Trophy, but we're all okay with it. Talking a lot of Phillies today because I was wondering if we're taking Bryce Harper for granted. Because this guy, I'm sitting watching the game last night before he hit the home run, and I had this thought in my head was, he could have a bad strikeout and it doesn't even – and we are such a reactionary town, as we know. And, I'm just like, this guy just looks so dialed in when it comes to hitting anymore. And I swear I thought I saw something different 3 weeks ago when I said to you guys or asked you guys.
He stepped in.
Yeah, did you notice he didn't even move? He stepped in, dug in, and didn't move. After a ball, didn't step out, nothing. Stood there. Just stood there. And he has just been on a tear recently. Is he the most fun Phillies player to watch?
Yeah.
It's not even close?
Oh, it's not even close. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good Kyle Schwarber coming up to bat because he's
But he doesn't play the field.
Right.
Yeah.
When he does, it's fun. But the one or two times we've seen him this year, the other day. But Schwarber, because every swing he's going for a home run. I mean, he goes down to his knees half the time. He's swinging so hard.
Yeah.
I always take a little appreciation with that. But no, Bryce Harper is by far the most fun Philly.
All right. So
there's a lot of guys that are fun to watch. But I have to rate from 0 to 10.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's expand it. If we go all 4 Philly sports right now, players that are playing, who's the most fun to watch? You took Bryce. Well, are you taking Bryce Harper?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Who are you taking?
Tyrese Maxey.
Ah. If he wasn't smiling and all that, would he be the most fun player to watch?
Look at the circus shots he makes. Well, that's what makes him fun.
Yeah, that's true, too. You can't take that away. You're right.
The smile away.
No, you're right.
He genuinely enjoys basketball. And the circus shots he does and comes down to the lane and it looks like he's off balance, the body control. He's a lot of fun to watch.
There could be some really good answers on this. We'll put it out there. 610-632-0975. Who are your favorite players to watch? Most fun to watch, I should say, here in Philadelphia right now. Most fun to watch. And it could be an instance. I love watching this guy when he's doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So think about it. Let us know. 610-632-0975. I do want to get to some sports debate. So relax, everybody. We're not talking, debate of the country. We're talking sports debate. I'm going to get to that in a little while, too, because there's one, I think, that overruns everybody that is our age and younger and anybody that's a sports fan now. But I want to see if you have some more. Tom, we got some text messages about some of the stuff we've been covering all day today.
Yes, we do. That's correct. We got a couple Phillies, got a Sixers, and a hockey one. Any preference for you? Or just
so you go the way you want to go, buddy.
All right, let's go. We'll start with the McDavid thing because we've been talking about that a lot. This is from Chris in Philly. Anyone who says McDavid is soft for not coming out to get the award must have never played sports or likes the idea of participation awards. He was not playing for that trophy. He was playing for a Stanley Cup and his team, and he just lost a lifelong dream. I wouldn't have cared if he came out and smashed the award with his stick. Mail it to him. That being said, I think Bob should have gotten it. Bob Browski. Not you, Bob, unfortunately.
There was chance of that last night. And they showed Bobrovsky afterwards. You're trying to read his face, but I think the announcer put it correctly where he said, I don't think he cares. I don't think Bobrovsky cared that he didn't get the Conn Smythe last night. We didn't say soft. Nobody said here soft when it came to Connor McDavid.
My buddy said it, so I brought that up earlier.
Right.
That's
probably
why he said it.
Yeah, so I didn't mind it at all. You're in the opposing team's arena. You're letting them celebrate. I'll bet you that kind of played a part in Connor McDavid's thoughts last night of,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm not going to go out there and try to show anything up. Thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah. We got a Phillies one here as well. No name, unfortunately. Bryce is so great, but Bob, you already mentioned Schmidt's stats. Schmidt is number 1. Then number 2, 4,100 strikeouts, 329 wins. That is Lefty is number 2 to this person, and then Bryce comes in at the number 3 spot.
Okay, that doesn't even mention the 4 Cy Young Awards I think Steve Carlton won also. Yeah, Carlton and Schmidt are definitely right there.
Think about that, though. We're watching a guy that's going to be in that kind of pantheon of Phillies history.
Yeah, probably. God willing. And he's probably got 31. He's in great shape. And those guys talk about it so much. I don't think, and we talked about this before a little bit, Aim. I don't think you get to see athleticism in baseball as much as, but the
Center
way
field maybe, but that's it.
Right. The amount of time, maybe shortstop and all that. But the amount of times that Tom McCarthy and Kruk and, I need a favor from you, by the way, and I'll let you know what it is in a minute.
Okay.
But the amount of times that they bring up how athletic Bryce Harper is, and I'll tell you where his athleticism shows also. First to third on a single.
How many times do you see him? He's at first, and it's a bloop single. Maybe drops in right or whatever, and there's no doubt about that he's scoring.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I think his base running is
Yesterday he went.
Was it yesterday he did it?
I think it's underrated. I know people give him a hard time about, he didn't run down to first. Okay. You know what I know he can do? Score from first.
Yeah.
On a single.
I will stick with this, and I heard some.
I saw it.
I'm not calling anyone a name. I will call the argument idiotic about his. I think his lack of running or going 100%. I think he was in a bad habit that he's trying to break, and that's when he hits a ball that he thinks is an obvious out. His first couple of steps aren't 100%, 90%. They're kind of like, oh man, with success comes expectation of yourself. He thinks he's going to get a base hit every time.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't, his first thing isn't, well, let me bust my, gut out here to get the first anyway. It's disappointment. Oh, man, there's your first 2 steps. That's what people, I'm okay. I'm okay. I think it was, like I said, was just kind of a bad habit. That's all. What else we got, Tom?
Yeah, we got one on the Sixers here. It's from Phil in Jersey. Starting to like the idea of Brandon Ingram, probably what we end up with. Good player, but at the same time has a little bit of a Tobias Harris feel, which I think scares fans in the sense of maybe overpaid for that number 3, potentially.
I put this to Amy.
This was so bad.
And this was about somebody else, but let's say to Brandon Ingram. All right, Brandon Ingram comes in here, everybody. He's your third option. Anybody comes in, I'm sorry, is going to be your third option behind Embiid and Maxey. He comes in, he gets you 17 points, 8.5 rebounds, shoots you 35% from 3, maybe a little bit better from 3, and all that. Are you okay with those numbers? Tom, I'll ask you because you weren't in on the conversation. You know what I'm getting at.
I know you're getting at.
Okay.
Yes
So
will be my answer.
And it would be most answers, and that's Tobias Harris's numbers.
The one difference, we saw Tobias come up small in big spots when they need
Absolutely.
And you're not maxing out Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, big part of there as well.
But you're getting the same numbers on the court, and ultimately that's all anybody cares about is on the
I
court.
just need it to look different.
If Embiid's out for a couple weeks with an injury, I can't have Tobias be your third, fourth best player like he felt like at times this year when he had an opportunity to step up. Maybe Ingram can be that. And in the playoffs, you had some really good Tobias games at times. Game 5, he was fantastic before they end up losing in Game 6. But a lot more of the times, Tobias kind of comes up small in the playoffs, so maybe you get more from Ingram.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
I swear, as this gets closer, as much as we talked empty canvas and how much fun it could be,
it's
starting to get a little
2 sides of the same coin there.
Yeah. I'm starting to get the wonderment is starting to go to not but wow, what if there is no put your top 5
Brandon
players
Ingram's
here?
A great piece, a great scorer. I think he's a better 3-point shooter than probably what his 3% point percentage is. I think it's probably 37.
Yeah, something
so
like
he's
that.
right around league average, whatever, that's fine. I think he's a good creator. His defense is a little suspect for me. He has played, I think I pointed out on our YouTube page, he's played 65 games once in his career, and that was his rookie year.
Yeah.
That's a problem for me.
Yeah.
A guy that plays in 50 games is not great for what they need for this particular team where you already have another guy that you're thinking maybe he's not going to play the full 82 or get close. And there's some other questions when it comes to him, but I think he's a nice player. I think he's a good player. Someone I think asked me on our YouTube page, hi YouTube people, what do I like OG Anunoby better than Ingram? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
I like OG Anunoby for this team very much.
Yeah, so do I.
I know that he did opt out of the 19.9 or whatever it was because he's trying to get more.
Right.
I think the Knicks are going to try to do everything they can to re-sign him. Maybe the Sixers swoop in. Who knows?
Now,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. Jamal Hutchinson brings up a point that I want to talk about a little bit. He goes, Bob, you're getting the same numbers, but the difference is you will get those numbers consistently from Ingram.
It needs to look different. The numbers.
But if you're getting the same numbers,
that is the average. Is that the average?
So he gets 17 every night, whereas Tobias Harris would go 34 and 10.
Yes.
And
well, the problem with Tobias and the thing that you would not have with Ingram is the volume. Tobias, how many times did you look at that halftime box score and it would be 0 for 1?
Yeah.
1 for 2.
Right.
Like, I can't have that.
No.
And I don't think you would have that with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram does like to have the ball in his hands.
Yep.
I don't think that's as big a problem as people might think it is because Tyrese Maxey doesn't need the ball in his hands either, so you can share that, I think, a little bit. Obviously, Embiid would have to work with that too. But I think the volume would – that's why I mean it would look different.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to go 2 for 10.
Yeah, it's a wonder. And Mike from Delran, hold on. We're going to have to get you after the break, but I want to remind you, NBA Draft, it's tomorrow night, and 97.5 The Fanatic brings you live coverage from the 76ers facility in Camden with D. Lynam and Tyrone Johnson. They're going to be on the air starting at 8 o'clock with insight and perspective on what the Sixers strategy will be for the draft and free agency. It's all here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. All right, we're going to hit a little bit on everything that we've been talking about. We'll take your calls. At noon, I want to talk to you about some great sports debates, something that you've debated with your friends, maybe with yourself, stuff. Where does it land? Like, what is the biggest things you debate? Or, it's funny, we brought up Bryce Harper, first base. We had somebody on our YouTube page say, yo, it's not even close. Ryan Howard's the best first baseman in Phillies history. Is that a debate you could have? So think about that. We'll get to that at the 9 o'clock hour. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Excuse me.
Snack time here at the middays.
Yeah, well, Wawa drops off pretzels. Like, how do you not partake?
Yeah.
My fault for not seeing the timing on this. So, Amy, feel free to say anything you want.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about some of the great debates out there in sports. I usually have one of these every single day. With my 9-year-old.
You're pretty good at that. So I want you to think about that. Think of some. I think we're all going to say what the number one is.
Yes.
Like going on. But think of the biggest debates maybe you have with your friends, with yourself, as Amy does with her 9-year-old every day. There's debates going on in the Fadul Kane household constantly. Mm-hmm. But I thought it'd be fun maybe at noon. We're going to get into this. What are some of the biggest debates you have? And let's debate it a little bit. Let's talk about it. It could be as simple as, is this guy better than that guy? Whatever, I debate whether this guy is going to become this woman is going to become this in her profession. Whatever it is. Think about a good debate. We're going to hit that at the noon hour. But right now, Mike from Delran, he wants to talk a little bit about Sixers, and I think I agree with him. Mike, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
I've never met a bad day.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I'm with you, Bob. I'm getting really nervous. Like, LeBron James would be cool. It's not going to happen. I'm all right with the Paul George move, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But then after that, like, I'm really afraid we're going to make a move just to make a move, and I'm afraid it's going to be a move that's going to hinder us for a few years. Right? You're going to get a guy like Caldwell Pope, like a max contract, or something crazy like that, and it's not going to be what's going to need to push the needle to win a championship. So. I don't know, man. I'm getting really nervous the closer that, this stuff starts to happen.
Here's what I'll say to you, Mike. It's funny. You say they're going to make a move just to make a move. They're going to have to make moves just to make moves because they don't have anybody on their roster.
No, I know. I agree. And, I would rather, if all the big plans fall through, to just get some pieces that aren't going to that you don't have to use all that cap money and just wait a year if you have to because – It's I don't know. We've seen so many guys get put into this team with Joel Embiid, and nothing's worked. And I don't know. I just can't go through more years of this until Embiid either decides to retire or asks for a trade. You know what I mean? It's gonna suck. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Right.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. It's weird. They are gonna have to make moves just to make moves because you have to fill out a whole bunch of roster spots.
Roster spot.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like, oh, they picked him up. Oh, yeah, they got him. Okay. Now look. On any NBA roster, if
there's
we go,
always those guys.
There's going to be a couple guys at the end of the bench you don't really know.
And you never know what those guys can turn into. You look at some of the teams that had success in the playoffs this year. They thought, oh, this guy will round out our roster nicely. Then that person's thrust into Josh Hart.
Right.
Oh, and a nice player.
Sure. And it very well could be that the Ricky Councils of the world are getting signed and the Kenyon Martin Jr.'s are getting signed and all that. Okay. That's fine. You can fill out the end of your roster that way. But they need
3, 4,
bigger
5,
pieces,
6,
yeah.
7.
And how that's going to play out, I really wonder. Eric has an idea. Eric, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
How y'all doing today?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
All right. Well, I'll give you what I would do. I would go after Murray from Atlanta. I would give
DeJounte Murray,
first-round draft pick. DeJounte Murray to play with Embiid. I would look more to build with Maxey more than Embiid right now because Embiid might not stick around, and he stays injured too much.
Can I give you a reason I wouldn't go after DeJounte Murray, Eric?
Why is that?
There is none. I totally agree with you. I would go after him in a heartbeat. I couldn't agree with you more, Eric.
And then I like Kyle Kuzma, and I like Andre Drummond or Jalen Smith, the backup center from Indiana. And then I would sign a couple of our players. But the last comment I want to make, sir, is that it takes more than just players. It takes coaching. It takes an organization. It takes a team. Kawhi Leonard did not win a championship until he was with Popovich, until he was with Nurse. Everywhere else, he has not won. So I'm telling you, it takes more than just a superstar player. You got to get more players on the team.
I agree. And it's a culture to me, too, Eric, right? You have to learn how to be a winner. I said this a few weeks ago or a month ago. I don't consider the Sixers organization a losing organization. That I do not say. I say that they right now are not a winning organization in the fashion that you need to get championships.
I agree.
Okay. All right. You and I are on the same page today, Eric. Thanks so much for the call. Be a frequent caller if we're
Yeah, come on
if we're
through.
just gonna
Yeah.
agree. DeJounte Murray's a great name. A guy that started his career, and it's funny because I talked to people in San Antonio when he started there, and they were like, "This kid's got something special."
Mm-hmm.
And he was a late first round pick. If I remember, I think it was end of the first round, maybe close
in
to
the 20s,
30.
29.
Yeah,
29.
He was 29th.
Pick 29.
And I remember just people telling me, people in San Antonio are saying that this kid's got it.
Yeah.
He was playing point guard in San
Anytime
Antonio.
the Spurs pick a player late, you're always like, just watch that guy. Just watch him because he's going to do something. He's
Yeah.
going to be good.
Torn ACL and missed a season, I think a full season.
Great scorer. Defender.
Great score. Yeah, 6'5". Man, talk about a fit.
And it does not fit right now down there in Atlanta. That does
Atlanta's
not.
like that one of those, are we blowing it up or are we like making
Holding
moves
on
to
to-
try to
no.
stay? Because, you see Trae Young stuff go around all the time. Like, what's up with him? Is he going to be available to somebody? Are they going to make
for
a
it.
big move to get out of that? I know it was brought up at this station that, that would be a great fit here.
Trae Young?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. No, I don't want that either. No. Jay in West Philly. You're
Sure,
97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's up, Bob? What's going on, Amy?
Hey, Jay.
Look, that's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see what's the possibility or what would we have to give to get DeJounte Murray.
That's a good question. I mean, I would think so. They traded for him, 2 years ago, the Hawks did?
Yeah,
And
they
I'd
got
have
him
to-
in 22, 23.
I'd have to look and see what they gave up to know what they would
we got
probably be.
enough
Because, he doesn't fit down there. So they're looking to trade one of the two. It may be both.
That's exactly what I want. I'll give them, however many picks they need. Because he's a young Drew Holiday to me, and he'll fit perfect with Max. But Max, he run around and do his thing. He still plays defense.
Yes, he does.
If you 6'5", well, that's what I would want. If I could get him and OG, because I think OG opted out because, Nurse was his coach and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they still in his ear, and Embiid wanted him at the trade deadline. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's funny. You bring that up, Jay. Thanks so much. He brings up DeJounte Murray and an OG Anunoby, and you're kind of like, yeah, wow. I'd really love that.
Those are
But my
two-
mind doesn't go specifically to those players. Is there a chance they do something like that and you go, oh, yeah, I really like that?
Because you look at what that would bring to this team.
Sure.
Defensively, much improved. Physicality, much improved. OG Anunoby's physicality really is what draws a lot of people to him. Good score, everything else fine, great. But his physicality, the size that he brings.
Yeah.
And Jay had a good point that Embiid won in the trade deadline. There's a reason OG Anunoby went before the trade deadline last year. He was a hot commodity. A lot of people valued what he was going to be able to bring them.
Yep.
Athleticism, physicality, everything else. And DeJounte Murray being a bigger guard, being very defensive-minded, and can score. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I remember we did a Hawks game last year, and it was when Trae Young was out. The numbers for DeJounte Murray are like 5 or 6 points better without Trae Young than they are with Trae Young, just to show the illumination of how that pairing has not worked, and it probably won't work at this point. They're 2 years on with it. It hasn't worked. Fine, great. You got to get somebody different. They have two primary ball handlers and scorers, and that doesn't work unless one of them takes a back seat,
Yeah.
like we saw in Dallas.
Exactly.
And it's not done that way.
DeJounte Murray is the name of the hour. All right, when we get back, we'll take all your phone calls. We'll grab you if you want to join in on this. Who you think the Sixers, which way they might go, who they might want to take. You're more than welcome. 610-632-0975. The subject at noon is going to be this. What's your biggest sports debate? What is and it might not even be your debate. It might be something that you want to debate, but you, I don't know, don't think it's a really good debate. Whatever you want to do. We're talking debates at noon. 610-632-0975. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome to the noon hour, everybody. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. A lot on the table today. Phillies, Flyers, Sixers. I'll throw in Eagles because, we need to talk about them. They'll be in action in about a month.
It'll be fun.
Good enough.
Yep.
All right, two quick things. One, Tom, we have some breaking news.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yes, some more on this Matvei Michkov stuff. We have an official update from Danny Briere himself as the Flyers released this on Instagram and Twitter. Philadelphia Flyers news update. The Flyers were informed earlier today of Matvei Michkov's release from his KHL contract with the SKA Hockey Club. We are certainly excited to learn of this news and look forward to reconnecting with Matvei's representatives in the coming days. Additionally, we are appreciative, of SKA St. Petersburg for allowing Matvei Michkov to pursue his dream of playing in the NHL. That is from Danny Briere himself.
Okay, there we go. Breaking news right there. Sorry, Amy and I were conferring about something.
Is that what you were going to ask me earlier?
No. What I had to ask you earlier, I can ask you on air.
Copy that.
I get this question every night. So let's go back to that real quick. Great news for the Flyers. There's probably a little bit of there's a lot of celebrating going on down in Miami, which we're seeing on Twitter right now with the Stanley Cup. Or not Miami, I should say South Florida, which is really, really cool.
They're in the ocean.
Yeah, they're taking the cup in the ocean with them. I want to talk about that in a little bit, about favorite things to do in sports and stuff. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But every night, I turn on the Phillies game. Mm-hmm. Every night. Most 90% of the time, I'm in my house when it starts, and my wife is there with me. And every night, I get the same question. I turn it on. There's Tom McCarthy. There's Ruben Amaro. Hey, where's Kruk tonight? Why isn't he there?
People love to know where Kruk is.
No, it's not just that. And I turn and I say, I don't know. I don't have their schedules. Then the next night, or next series maybe, turn it on, and there's Tom McCarthy and John Kruk. Hey, where's Ruben Amaro? So I said to Donna last night, I said, you know what? I'm going to ask Amy. Can you please get me the schedule?
I'll get you the schedule.
Because I told her I'm going to get it, and I'm going to hang it on the side of the refrigerator so that before every game, my wife can look and see. And she loves all the announcers, so which is cool because we are so blessed with announcers in this city as good as that. Like Ruben, people always said this. I'm no expert to judge anyone, obviously. I've heard people say that are consider themselves. He's gotten so much better, so much. Ruben Amaro's great. He's great. The way he's just last night, look at his hand staying on top of that slider that he's throwing. Aaron Nola's just on his game tonight. Being around the game
of baseball forever. He was a bat boy for Pete's sake.
Oh, yeah. And the cool thing was they were talking about triple plays by the Phillies, and somebody was looking up all the triple plays, and
I was at the last unassisted triple play.
Oh, Bruntlett?
Yes.
Was it? Yeah, against the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one. But there was the last, it couldn't have been the last one involving, maybe it was, the last one involving a pitcher.
Yes.
Ruben Amaro Sr. was involved on the play. He was the second baseman or something like that. But, yeah, a lot of fun stuff. So I don't like to ask for things, but since it's because it's for my wife, if you could get me the schedule of the announcers.
You got it.
Yes, it would make my life a whole lot easier, and that's what everyone is here for in this world, to make my life easier. Damon on the cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Dame?
What's up, Bob? Amy, how y'all doing today?
Hey, Damon.
Doing great.
Good. Amy, you do a fantastic job on pre and post. Love watching you guys.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. So, first of all, that triple play last night was incredible. And when you're watching it, right, Bob, it's like, is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Is this happening?
Dame, it's so funny because I in all honesty, I was out back. I had the TV out on in my backyard, and I was standing there watching it. Now you know how you're watching and you see something, and then you almost start to go to something else. And I was like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened there? Was that really a triple play? And if you listen to some of the announcing on it, they were confused a little bit too.
Yeah, because when the guy ran from third, he goes home. It's like, is he safe? But obviously he was out, so it worked out. But, Bob, yesterday I brought this up on the best show. DeJounte, last week, man, I kept saying there's a player out there, Amy, that we're missing that no one's talking about. I come across an article. His name comes up. I'm like, that's the piece. So I said to Ty, I said, if we got him and maybe Ingram and doing that Anunoby, would that be a better fit? So say if we got I don't know how they would do it. I know Atlanta has the number 1 overall pick, which I read said that they could possibly move that and probably be a 2 or 3 team involvement if he was to get moved. But if you could get him, Bob, and maybe an Ingram or an Anunoby, that lineup looks a lot better. You would have a Maxey, Murray, Embiid, either Ingram or Anunoby, and then the Oubre. I like that.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I like it a lot. And that's, Dame, we've constantly talked about over the last month or so, big names, the big names. Mm-hmm. What you just brought up, like DeJounte Murray, to us it's a big name because we think it's a great fit. He's not one of the guys that everybody put out there of like, oh, this is a big name here. But it's a good fit, right?
And he can get a bucket. I think it was against, I don't know, it was Boston. I mean, he went off, man. He took over, so he can get a bucket. They would have to figure it out. But, man, that would be the one for me, guys. Have a great show. Thanks for taking my call.
Dame, thanks so much. Always love taking your calls. You know that. I had to laugh at our YouTube page. My friend Jim G. And Jim is one of the greatest guys. He's come out to a lot of our happy hours and all. Great, great dude. He just got in an argument with himself on YouTube, which I thought was hysterical.
Great debate.
He goes, other than Joel, the Sixers really don't have much size. And then he goes on the next line and says, oh, well, then again, they hardly have a roster. Joel Embiid's your only size because right now he's your only player.
He's a good size.
Yeah.
But that's the average height of your team is good.
Yeah, if you want to look at it like that, the average height of your team is 7'2" right now.
So there you go.
Yeah, so that's not bad. It's probably not an ideal way of looking at it. All right, the way you look at things is always interesting to me. So I wanted to bring up, because of something going on later this week, there is a debate that's going to happen later on this week. But that's not sports, and I only talk about sports.
That's right.
So the biggest sports debate probably, I don't know if I can say of our lifetime, but maybe it is it could be.
Yeah.
Is number one.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has it.
It's Jordan LeBron.
Everyone has that. And everyone has a side, and everyone has very strong feelings. If you're having that debate, there's no one wishy-washy being like, I don't know, maybe. I've never encountered someone to have that debate with that they were just like, maybe you could talk me into. No. They're fervently team LeBron or team Jordan.
Right.
I've had it with my pre- and post-game hosts. One is a little bit, he's come a little bit more to the LeBron side, but he's definitely team Jordan. And one was Jordan until he saw LeBron and thought, nope, that's my guy now.
So how do you go about debating is also interesting to me. And listen, we want to hear what some of your favorite debates are, or maybe you want to chime in on what is number one, LeBron and Michael Jordan. At 610-632-0975. Call now. We'd love to hear from you. I think that's number one. Who is it, LeBron or Jordan? But it's funny. My high school basketball coach, who's in the Big Five Hall of Fame, who's been around longer than I have, who just missed out on making the Philadelphia 76ers, who was one of the most successful coaches in all of New Jersey high school history, if I were to ask him who's the best player of all time, he doesn't hesitate, and it's Bill Russell.
Interesting.
Why? Because he won the most championships, and isn't that the goal? It is something that even I was like, I don't know, and he's like, why? He beat Wilt all the time, and everybody calls Wilt the greatest. He beat him. We love to debate,
yes,
because that's what we do. Jordan and LeBron, but it's how you debate that I find interesting / annoying. Interesting in making your point for the guy that you are debating or the girl or whatever you're debating about, that you're making your point for why you choose a side.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the other side has to be bad. You know what I mean? It's always come to me that the Jordan-LeBron thing is, oh, I'll take Jordan. LeBron, man, he doesn't do this. He does. Stop. They're both great. You cannot put down the other one. That's what Jimmy Lydom.
Jimmy Lydom says you could have equal space there.
Right. You can, and you should, because you're talking about two. If you're making this debate that one of those two is the greatest of all time, well, then I'm sorry, the other one's probably the second greatest, if that's your debate. But how do you go about a debate? Are you one that says, no, that guy sucks, and the guy that I'm choosing
that'll tear down the other person to make my person.
I don't think you have to, right?
But some people do. That's true in all debates, sports-wise or whatever. I try to illuminate all of the things that I think make my argument better, my player great, better than your other. And then I try to negate any of the negatives that will come my way. So if you're having the LeBron versus Jordan debate, the first thing they'll go to is LeBron's record in the finals. All right, I get that. How many finals has he been to?
Yeah.
A lot. What did the teams look like that he dragged to the finals? Speaking of drag to the finals, Bam Adebayo wasn't in there. Anderson Varejao was on those teams. Zadrinas Ilgauskas. I mean, come on.
Delonte West was like your starting two guard.
Come on.
Look, they might be a better fit than Bam Adebayo with the Sixers team. That's all I'm saying.
He's not going to let me let that
That's
one
a
down.
good get out, Tom.
That's not what I
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I'll bring up, how many titles did Jordan win before Scottie Pippen got there?
Yeah.
The answer is 0.
Yeah.
But of course, Jordan is he's undefeated in the finals. There's so many different ways to go. But to me, yes, go ahead.
That one, no, sorry to interrupt. That one never makes sense to me. Is how 6-0 is more impressive than LeBron's been to 9 finals, I believe. Is that what it is? Like he's been to more finals, even though maybe he's not perfect. He didn't win as many. Getting to more finals, 9 of them, I think, is more impressive than getting to 6 and winning all 6. Like what happened in the other seasons when Jordan didn't get there. That's one that always kind of drives me crazy a little bit.
And there's so many kind of branches off of this also that
what
can
was
be
Jordan
debatable.
doing when he was 39 years old? He was wearing a Wizards uniform.
And he averaged 38 minutes a game, I think, his last year in the NBA, Jordan did.
Like maybe 20. I mean, listen,
Like something
Jordan
crazy.
If he's not the greatest player of all time, and he is in most people's mind, but there's an argument, I think, for a lot of people to say that LeBron, given the positions that he has all played, and we had this, Mark Jackson and our producer for our pre and post have this conversation. We contend, and I think Mark's the one that brought it up, or maybe it was Brian Brennan, that Jordan would play much better in this era of basketball.
Oh, yeah.
With the way it's called and played. And LeBron would have been just fine back there in the physicality of it, given the way that he is.
Right. I've said that for years.
Yeah. And
totally agree with
that's
you.
an interesting thing, too. So when you're thinking about the comparisons of the two, you have these conversations. You have it a little bit like the greatest quarterback, but there's so many. That's much more nuanced, I feel like, because there's people that will go and die on the hill and say it's not Tom Brady. And good for you, because you're going to say it's Joe Montana or John Elway for whatever it is. But
I don't even know if there's a debate on that one,
hard.
right?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask Tom
I don't think so, but
there's two number 23s. All right, let's say a 23 and a number 6 standing in the playground. All right, you got to pick one to be on your team. Who are you picking? Tom Alvord, by the way, reigning champion of Knockout here at 97.5.
I appreciate you reminding me. I haven't thought about that in a while. So
no, you have a picture right behind you.
I missed that. My bad.
Yeah, I think you look at it and kiss it every day, like it is Lord Stanley Cup.
I didn't put it up there.
No, I know you didn't.
He does. It's like when he goes out, he comes in. It's like when Notre Dame goes to the tunnel. That's what he
he
taps
does
it every day.
Yeah.
That's exactly
I think he
right.
even gives it the old pounds the chest, kisses the thing.
I try and do it out of the screen of the YouTube though, so no one can say it. But now everybody knows. It's such a tough option. I mean, I would probably go Jordan because you do have to score the final bucket, and I think of Jordan as a better clutch player, so I would probably lean Jordan, but you can't go wrong with a guy who has the most stats pretty much in every single category in the history of the sport, in LeBron James.
Yeah, it is amazing. The numbers that he's put up, the championships he's been to. He's going to wind up top, I think, 3 assists also all time, if not top 5. Somewhere I have to look. I haven't looked up those numbers in a while. But that's how good LeBron James is.
And you mentioned his age, 39. He's still, a top 15, top 20 player in the game?
He has had the longest prime of anybody in any sport ever.
And he's 39 years old. He's a top 20, top 15 player still in the sport right now. It's incredible. It is.
I'd debate maybe top 10.
You could have that debate. Yeah.
As we're speaking of debates. Yeah, but it's fun. There's branches off of that. Is LeBron a better passer than Jordan, or rebounder, defender, and so many different ways to go. But it is no doubt the number one topic of our sportsdom.
There's other
over
ones
the
that
last.
are good, but
there are other ones that are real good. And if you have other ones, give us a call. Let us know 610-632-0975, because you guys know I go to lunch a lot of times with my friends. It's like what we do all lunch. If we're not asking trivia questions. Top 10 assist guys in the NBA. One of us will have it on our phone, and then the other guy's got to get it. But it's pretty good. I love discussions like this. Karate Mark on the cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mark?
Bobby Bob, what's up, brother? How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad that you're safe and sound after your little tribulation. Yeah, last week.
Hey, we put the charger down, and speaking it down, put a down payment on a new truck. So all is good.
That's what I like to hear.
Hey, so this sports debate, I love the Jordan LeBron. I'm always involved in it. I'm always picking Jordan, and I'm not going by numbers. I'm not going by titles. You said it yourself. You got a couple people lined up. Who you picking? Who do I want on my team? Who do I want to play with? And if I'm not doing it, who do I want to take that last shot? So that's always going to be Jordan. Having said that, we need to get Kobe in this discussion because I got Kobe under Jordan above LeBron. I got Kobe my number 2 all time. He is the best replica, if not better representation of what Jordan is, what Jordan was. He's the killer. He's the Mamba. As good as LeBron is, LeBron's king. King, not GOAT. And the GOAT goes to either Kobe or MJ.
Ooh. All right, so that makes you put LeBron third on that list.
Third all time. Not denying anything he is the king. He's not the GOAT.
Mark, you are the best. Thanks so much for joining in on this, and we'll talk to you soon. It's so funny that Mark brought up Kobe Bryant because it was just this morning before you guys came in that I was going through Twitter and somebody threw up, let's not forget Kobe, and just showed a bunch of Kobe highlights, which were just unbelievable. I wish we had a better feeling of what Kobe was when he was still playing.
Right.
Because I do feel like we've gotten a lot more, not only after he retired, but also, unfortunately, after his death, about, and look, do stories grow when people are no longer with us? Yes, but I don't think that's the case with Kobe. I didn't feel they grew. I feel they were more
They were illuminated.
given to light.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they were
Exactly.
illuminated. You heard more about them. And I think Mark brought up the good point when people talk about Kobe, they talk about just that mentality, right? The killer instinct, the finishing. I think that that's really what made him the player that he was, why he's in a lot of people's top 3, top 5 of all time, above other guys that maybe traditionally people be like Russell, Wilt, Kareem.
Right.
I think he puts, the greatest Laker, and that's saying something right there, considering that everybody that's, worn a Laker uniform right then and there make him like a top 3 type of player. I think that it's not revisionist because I think you're just looking at it differently now that he's gone. You're really appreciating what he did do. And to your point, did we appreciate it maybe at the time? I don't know. I mean, he won titles. He was a great player. I think maybe some of the shine got taken off a little bit because he was playing with Shaq, another top 75, one of the greatest centers of all time.
Right.
I mean, a dominating big man. I see there's going to be a big man. That's another. That's a fun one too. We'll get to that. But I feel like that he didn't get the flowers that he should have, given the fact that what he was able to do for really what the position he was in. Not the biggest guy you ever saw.
No.
Not the most physical, but the way he played was the most physical, and the way he played was the biggest. But he didn't look that way until he got him on the court.
Yeah, and I always loved when people kind of not made fun of, but maybe cast a half an eye towards. All he's trying to do is imitate Michael Jordan with the okay.
Yeah. And he does it really well.
Pretty good guy to imitate.
Guess what? Maybe
he
he's a
actually
lot
does it.
smarter than you're giving him credit for. If you're going to emulate anybody, it might as well be him. Terrell has a debate that he wants to tell us about. Terrell, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing great.
So, yeah, we got generations in different generations classing on this debate because we debate the best big man of all time. And obviously, I'll go with the biggest man of all time, Shaq. I think when he got his grown man body, I think he was the most dominant. Like you said, he unlocked Kobe Bryant. He made him a better player. Like he went to the finals in Orlando, and he was still a young guy. He didn't have his big man body back then, and he got abused by Elijah Wan. That's who a lot of people pick too in my family. And then the elders in my family love Kareem for some reason, or Wilt.
Yeah, there's a lot of Wilt.
I mean, it's funny you say that, Terrell. For some reason, well, he did lead. He was the all-time leading scorer in the NBA for like 40 years.
Yeah, right.
But I think that Kareem and Wilt wouldn't know what to do against the Los Angeles Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal, though.
I mean,
well, it's funny. And Terrell, thanks so much for the call.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aim. I'll let you go
no,
first.
it's interesting to me because you think. One, I don't think there's a lot of people who know what to do against Shaquille O'Neal.
No.
He's just a massive, massive human and very skilled, and his footwork showed for a guy that size to be able to move around the way he did. it's hard. It's always hard to me to translate that because my father-in-law is a big Wilt as the best player of all time type of vibe.
My father was also.
And that's what they grew up seeing. So I talked to a guy like Jimmy Lynam who saw Wilt play.
Right.
And if he says to me that Wilt could hang, then I'm going to go with whatever Jim says because Jim saw him play like the playground, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
And saw him play throughout his college and high school and, obviously NBA career.
Exactly. It's like the stories that I've told. That Stan Hockman would pull me aside and tell me stories about Wilt Chamberlain. It's funny. There is a picture, if any of you want to look it up, of Wilt Chamberlain throwing up a ceremonial jump ball at a game. And it might have been Shaq's rookie year or something like that. And Shaq comes walking out and shakes Wilt's hand. I'm not going to say he, towers over him, but Shaquille O'Neal has nothing on, at that time, 50-year-old Wilt Chamberlain. I'll see if I can call it up and maybe we can put it out on our account. But it's pretty cool to see that. And it was the debate that I often brought up to people older than me when I was in the newspaper business. And I would bring up someone like Shaquille O'Neal, and they would just, shake their heads instantly. No problem for Wilt. So it's interesting. What's a debate that you have on your mind about sports that you've had often? We also have some texts I want to get to. I also like to have fun. I've told you guys, my mantra, fun is the best thing to have. I would love to do this in sports. And maybe there's other things that you would like to do, but this might be near the top of my list. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Noon time, 12:30 actually.
Yes.
Why does time always seem to fly?
Because
here, Amy?
we're having fun.
We are. We're trying to have fun, and we're doing some debating. I just saw Tyrone out in the hallway, and it reminded me of as we're doing, we're talking about debates. What do you debate often? What is some of the fun debates you have? We know that number one is Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Tyrone brought it up a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And I'm not sure if he had it on his phone, his computer, or whatever, but he showed me the play of Jordan hitting the game winner against the Utah Jazz. After he made the steal of Karl Malone down low, came from behind Star. I kind of did a little tush push. I think that was the first tush push. Little tush push, through the guy. But Tyrone pointed out something great. Jordan makes a shot. He goes, "What'd you notice about that?" And I was like, "Don't know. Where are you going?" He goes, "No double team came at him."
That's bad defense.
And people on YouTube are talking about no zone defense when Jordan played. You weren't allowed. It was all man-to-man. Tyrone made a great point in that you knew Jordan was shooting that ball,
how
most
you not
likely.
double?
Unless he's throwing it to Steve Kerr again or something like that. But, yeah, he didn't get doubled. And it was like eye-opening to me. Like, yeah, I couldn't believe that didn't happen. But people are also saying this. They're coming up for their reasons on why they would take LeBron over Jordan or Jordan over LeBron or neither, as somebody says. And this is weird, like the way it's worded, because I'm very much into how things are said or written and wondering about. Somebody says on here, LeBron ain't even over Kobe or Jordan. So instead of saying it on the positive side, that I would say I would take Jordan and Kobe over LeBron.
That's how some
it
people
goes
debate.
negative,
Yeah,
and that goes to my point of how do you debate? And it's just
I try to raise my side up, but there's it's two ways to debate. The other one is to raise your side up and then also tear the other side down and show them why they're wrong.
Yeah, I just kind of more like to do the other thing. Now, I showed Amy during the quick break that we had there the picture of Wilt Chamberlain going out to do the ceremonial jump ball with Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille was still with Orlando, so it had to be
the smaller Shaquille. As far as thinness.
It was,
not height.
Right. No, it was his first, second, third. I don't know what year it was. One of those years. But Wilt was probably in his 50s. And I showed it to Amy, and Amy goes, "Oh, my God, Wilt was a behemoth."
Massive.
Yeah, and she talks to Jimmy Lynam, and he said, Shaq was a monster, but Wilt would have been okay.
Would have been okay.
So we're talking sports debates. What are some of the ones that you have? Now, I'll throw this one out because our YouTubers had it before we get to a couple texts, Tom. A couple of our YouTubers said, yeah, it's not even close. Bryce Harper's a better first baseman than Ryan Howard. Can we say he's only been at it for 1 year? We can't say that he's going to unquestionably go down as the all-time first baseman for the Phillies, can we?
Maybe defensively much better than Ryan Howard. Maybe that's what they meant. But as a whole, Howard played first base for a decade here. Harper's been at it for a year and a half. I think that's too tough to say right now.
It is amazing how good he is at first base, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's a big way to shout out the Philadelphia Phillies. That organization is just so smart. They saw this coming. They saw between the injury to his arm, getting Tommy John, that this was the best fit for him long term. And it's already looked like an absolute stud of a decision there from Dave Dombrowski in this organization because it's just been working so seamlessly for Bryce Harper and the Phillies.
So here's another question I'll ask you about a debate on that, Tom, on exactly what you're talking about that. Great that they saw he could go to first base. Well, remember who the first baseman was before him?
Rhys Hoskins.
People debated that. Oh, you should have kept at the beginning of this year. Oh, yeah. They would be so much better if they had Rhys Hoskins. Here's the debate.
A nice bench bat. They thought if you could platoon him, another extra
Who, Hoskins?
Bat. Yeah, another extra bat.
Okay.
Getting a lot of money for a bench bat, though.
Yeah,
it would have
been a DH bat, but then you wouldn't. Never Schwarber.
You'd have to put Schwarber in left.
No thanks.
Why?
It's fun to watch him play out there every now and again, but I'm good with the every now and again.
Here's the debate, and this is probably easier because of what the Phillies are doing right now. But if you can look at it as a whole without this season in play, would the Phillies, do you think, be a better, more dangerous, however you want to word it, team if Rhys Hoskins was still on it? Now, the reason I bring this up, he hit a grand slam last night for the Brewers. I believe he's been injured some this year, so I think it was only his ninth homer. I looked it up earlier today, but I forget exactly. He's only hitting 234, but we know what he was here, and I bet you those numbers would be better if they were here in Philadelphia. Did the Phillies make the right move?
I don't think that's a debate, really. I get why it was initially, but no. Yes, they made the right move.
Well, you could say they might even be
better,
as good or better if they had Rhys Hoskins here.
But where would he have played? You would have put him.
I guess you would have had
he would have had
DH him. Yeah, because I ain't could you imagine a platoon in left field, Tom, of Kyle Schwarber and Rhys Hoskins?
No, thank you. I'm good.
Oh my God, I would bet every right-handed hitter I'd call people up from the minors.
Every ball that goes out the way, be like, well, let's see what we get today.
Oh my God, yeah, that would be. But that was a big debate in the offseason: keep him or let him go.
Because he had just done so much here, and you knew the production wasn't going to fall off. It wasn't like was at the end of the career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still a very good player and a very big power bat. But he had no spot here.
Yeah, no, he just really didn't. And it's funny, when are some other people going to get there? Like Trey Turner, I think will naturally move over to second base. Should he get older, and should the fielding? I'm not going to say just fielding, but should his range become a problem, or if some people think it is more of a problem? That's another DH you have, of course, Harper, Schwarber, Real Muto. You have a plethora of guys. Castellanos at some point, maybe, although he seems fine out there in right field right now.
Yeah, honestly, he's gotten better at right field in the last couple of years.
One error. He just committed it, last week?
He had the longest streak, and that was a nonsense error, and I cannot believe they credited him with the error.
So somebody took an extra base because he threw to the wrong... I can't remember exactly what the error was for. Do you?
It was the cutoff man, and I thought maybe he missed I can't remember. But
somebody got an extra base, right?
It shouldn't have been on him. And that was he had the longest streak in baseball without committing an error. And I thought, that you can't break it on that. And the scorers, sometimes we sat in the press box before, and they'll announce the error, and you'll be sitting there like, and then all of a sudden they'll come up like, just kidding, we're gonna change that. Like, yeah, you should. I thought for sure they were gonna change that.
Yeah, we said when we were up in the press box, they would announce it. We'd all look around at each other like, all right, who's the official scorer tonight? Because it used to be the beat writers were.
Oh yeah,
they'd pick.
Now they have
they'd pick. Yeah. Now they have official.
Yes.
Like I think I'm pretty sure I was in the press box when my identical cousin Kevin Cooney was the official scorer.
Sometimes it's a bit of a judgment call.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the least I ever felt like I was working when I was writing was being at a Phillies game in the summer.
It's truly because it's open air. It's an open air press box.
Open air. It's like between innings, all the writers are goofing
everybody's
around
like
with
talking
each
around.
other.
It is really great. I do enjoy this.
Jackie Shore would come over and give you a trivia question, and
and
it was
everybody
just
walks by.
Yeah, it's just so easy and all
very
that.
Communal. They're very communal.
Yes, very, very communal and a lot of fun. So I have to tell you about the deal of the week, Aim. It's 8 and Sand Beer Company. You can check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week. You can get $50 to 8 and Sand Beer Company for just $25. It's located in Woodbury, New Jersey. 8 and Sand Beer Company features 20 taps at their 40-foot bar, a must-stop for all who love breweries and craft beer. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. Okay, when we get back, I want to get back into the Phillies. I want to talk a little bit more Bryce Harper. We're going to hit some text messages that we got from you guys earlier today. If you still want to chime in, what is the debate that maybe you've had with your family? My dad and I used to have one all the time that I'll bring up to you when we get back. This is Middays. Amy Fadul's with us all day long. I'm Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. So glad to have you with us. Want to tell you, 12 o'clock hours brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. A lot of great replies. I was just going through our YouTube page, Amy.
Yes.
And talking about, how do you debate things and what do you say? And some people went, Jordan, it's not even close. Okay, that's fine. MJ and Kobe have better bag than LeBron. LeBron was just bigger and faster than everyone else.
That's it.
Yeah, sorry. That's the sign of being a great athlete or being a great player. You're bigger and faster. Yeah, you can't help that you grew to 6'8" and 245, but, the fact that you are that's what makes you great. I don't know if I can hold that against somebody. Mamba number one, Mamba mentality. It goes a lot of people talking about how you couldn't play zone against Michael Jordan back in the day, and that had a lot to do with it. So some great, like I said, some just great debates. Oh, somebody also said, you can't deny that LeBron won with 3 different teams. The Lakers, the Heat, the Cavaliers. That is pretty impressive.
And the Sixers next year.
Hey.
Oh, Tom, don't you throw out.
Don't tease us with a good time.
Just add into the conversation. That's all.
Dave Dewar says he's a better first baseman than Ryan Howard. Oh, okay. If I can see you hit 58 home runs and knocking 159 a year, I'll say you're a better first baseman than him. Are we wrong to say that Ryan Howard's the best first baseman all time for the Phillies?
No.
I mean, his fielding wasn't great, but I think if you're starting a team and you say, all right, give me your all-time Phillies team, first base, are many people not saying Ryan Howard?
You mentioned a lot about taking Bryce Harper for granted. I said that maybe your buddy was taking Mike Schmidt for granted. We take Ryan Howard for granted in this city. He hit, 58 homers and 140 RBI that one season he won MVP?
I think he had 159 RBI one year.
Harper may never touch. He probably will never touch those numbers ever. And he had that prime Howard did for 3-4 seasons where he was just fantastic.
That 3-year span of Ryan Howard was just unbelievable.
We'll never see it again.
No.
I think it might have been more like a 5-year span that I have to look it up because we've done this before. So go ahead, Amy, if you get a chance.
I'll go.
You take a look because you're much better at that than I am. I'm not really all that good at all at that, but
that's all right. I got you.
Okay, I think these numbers are going to, and you can hear them more than once. Like everybody's probably heard them at some point, but almost every time you hear them, you're like, oh my God. So when Amy gives us these numbers,
pretty good.
Yeah,
you could probably even
how many years span can you go?
You can really go 6 if you want to go 6.
Okay, give us home run RBIs during that time.
Starting in 2006, you're looking at 2006, 58 home runs, 159 RBI, and 581 at-bats.
And his batting, who's over 300?
313.
Yeah,
313.
that's insane.
2007, 144 games played, 529 at-bats, 47 home runs, 268.
How many RBI?
RBI. Wait, did I not give the RBI before? Oh, no, I did games played. Sorry, that was 159, which is, I think, the same. I think it's the same number, which is ironic in that one. Sorry, it was RBI. Where is that? It's not at the same. Oh, yeah, no, it was 149. 149 RBI in 2006, 136 RBI in 2007, 146 in 2008 when he also played all 162. So we had 48 home runs that year in 2008, 146 RBI, both those to lead the National League as well, and 162 games played.
Wow.
And then you go 2009, 141 RBI, 45 home runs, and 160 games played. Let's go 2010, shall we? Yes, we shall. 108 RBI, real dip for him, I guess, 31 home runs, and I think I said 143. And then the last year of this span, 152 games played. This is the tail end. 116 RBI and 33 home runs. Those are the down years for him.
Yeah, an amazing, amazing run. Fielding, yes, Bryce Harper's going to get the nod by far. Hitting, I'll tell you what, you get those numbers out of Bryce Harper.
He led the league in those, like some of those seasons, in RBI and home run. He led the league in RBI 3 times. In RBI 3 times in that span, in a 6-year span. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. So I got to tell you about a text I got last night from one of our listeners who has become a friend, and that's Dustin Miller. Now, it's a guy that used to be on our YouTube page an awful lot when I was on the morning show. And then he came out to a couple things, and it turned out we had some friends in common and all that. So Dustin has become a friend. He sends me a random text last night, and he says, your last meal. Entree, side, dessert,
drink.
Appetizer, entree, dessert.
What are you drinking?
And drink. And I was like...
You mean your last meal before you die? Like your own
last
death row?
meal. Like death row last meal.
I thought he was asking what your last meal was that you ate.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, death row last meal.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I said to him, I said, do you know something about me that I don't? Like, what the hell kind of a question is this? But no, I didn't say that. I gave him the answers. And then I said, are you planning on killing me or something? Like, why are you asking me this? So we're talking debates and we're talking fun stuff like that. And this just jumped into my head that Dustin sent this to me last night. He said he sent it to 112 friends because that's what they like to do. They throw out all these different things.
112 friends?
That's what he told me. I swear, 112 friends. And he said, we just like to, debate different stuff like this. So I'll put it out there. Let me see what he said. So he sends me a text at 8:39 last night. Now, mind you, we once in a while text, not like every day.
Yeah, but if he's sending it to
Death
112.
row meal, question mark. Entree, side, drink, dessert. And so here's what I went with. Steak Oscar, so steak with crab meat on top, asparagus, a Cabernet Sauvignon. Was that okay, Amy?
Yeah.
Was my pronunciation right?
Yeah.
And then for the
job
dessert.
as a sommelier, you'll crush it.
Yes. And then for the dessert, I went Irish coffee. Now, some might not think of that as a dessert, but I don't really do sweets.
Okay, so you're going to drink
I went Irish coffee. Then I said, are you planning on killing me or something? And he said, no, just a guy thing. I could do these questions all day, all night. I love it. I just texted 115 dudes, and the answers are great. 115 dudes. I don't have that much time. Good
I
for
don't
you,
know
Dustin.
that many people. 115 people that you're
You do.
texting?
That's pretty
I
good.
do,
Yeah,
but
you
like-
do.
but you're not gonna
probably
send
have
him a text.
thousands
That
of
I'm
people.
texting, though.
Yeah.
That's,
But that's the thing. He's
Well-
going to text regardless.
I'm going to throw it out there to you then. I'll start with Amy because she's probably most likely to be on death row of the three of us, Tom.
Sounds about right.
What
That's
would
right.
be your last
As
meal?
I laugh evilly.
What would be your entree, your side, your drink, and your dessert?
You'd have a good one there. I do enjoy a good surf and turf, but I am a big seafood fan, so
I
I'd
love
probably go seafood. I'd probably go blue crab. I love crabs.
Amy's like, give me a bushel of crabs and a
I'll be
keg
the-
of beer.
It'll be the longest death row meal of all time. 'Cause
Yeah.
I would be out there for hours.
That's actually
right?
a good one.
Really
Because I don't think
extend that
there's a
out.
time limit.
Sure, really enjoy it. Savor it.
Yeah.
Savor it. Yeah, so give me some Old Bay blue crabs. A beverage. I will probably go Sauvignon Blanc. I'll do a white with my crab.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And then what? I got a side too.
You got a side?
I'll give me a good grilled asparagus. And my dessert. It's a tough one. I love dessert. I'm a big dessert fan.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, big dessert fan.
Huh.
I'll get a good creme brulee.
Ooh, that's not bad. Creme brulee with a little crispiness
Yeah,
on
so you
top
get the
where you
both.
get the
You get
light.
the-
Yeah, okay. What about you, Tom? What do you got? You're about to die. What are you eating?
Thanks. Appreciate that, image.
That's Dustin's fault, not mine. Dustin Miller, we have to blame on this.
Filet mignon, garlic mashed potatoes as a side, maybe some sauteed mushrooms there as well.
Oh, delicious.
When it comes to dessert, very
Drink.
odd.
Give us a drink.
Drink's going to be last, though. Can I have a drink
Oh,
as
yes,
my
absolutely.
dessert?
You can do whatever you want. You're about to die.
Dessert, this will be the weirdest answer you've ever heard in your entire life. Mexican fried ice cream. Growing up, my mom used to work serving a Mexican
Delicious.
restaurant. It's like the great, and I haven't been able to
Delicious.
find it since.
I swear
so-
I've never had it.
Oh,
Really?
It's
No.
unbelievable.
Oh, it's delicious.
Unbelievable. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying it's like a misnomer too. People think it's actually like
Yeah, no one really knows about it. No one thinks it's that good, but it's delicious. And then the last thing will be an ice cold draft of Miller Lite that I taste. And I'm-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's my
Now,
favorite
that's
beer.
how you would wash it all down at
That's
the very
it.
end.
It's my favorite beer. We're going to go out swinging.
like, could you be ballsy being that you're going to die? And they say,
Thanks.
what's your last meal? And you say, I want a bushel of crabs. I want a half keg of beer.
I'll be here all night.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, I'm going to keep going until I drop.
I don't need to sleep. I'm
I've
gonna
seen
die.
before that there was a death row inmate that requested watching all of the Lord of the Rings movies, which are like 3 hours each. So he got an extra 12 hours because they allowed it. I don't know if that's accurate, but I've seen that on social media multiple times.
Interesting.
Yeah, very
I guess
interesting.
if you're gonna go,
Go out in style.
really I would like. Well, there was that movie that was filmed here with Jamie Foxx was in it, and the guy like dug out of like prison or whatever, and his last meal he wanted like a Del Frisco steak. He was very specific about like things like that, like this specific Joe's stone crabs from Miami,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
Dungeness crabs from San Francisco. You can get very specific and really kind of get creative. in
Should
that
be.
one.
Your last meal.
Right?
Come on now. Yeah.
Go for it.
First time I was ever quoted in a newspaper. So my dad used to work at the Daily News. The food critic, who you back then, Maria Gallagher, wife of Ray Didinger, she would always take my mom and dad out when she did restaurants. She would make sure So this one day, it was a Sunday, she took along little Bobby Cooney. So, they get all these nice meals, and
Yeah,
they
you
have to
get
tell
everything.
Maria, and she's taking her notes and all that. And so I'm sitting there, and I take a sip of my milk, and Maria looks, and she's like, "How's yours?" And I pick up my milk, and I went, "Vintage cow." And it made
good. Pretty
good.
it made it in the review. Yeah, I remember it was
Well
a
done.
Sunday because the Eagles had just opened their season that Sunday, and they beat the Denver Broncos. I could look up the year, but whatever. But yeah, I was a young man back then, and that made the review.
Vintage cow.
Vintage
Very
cow. She
good.
couldn't use my name.
Right.
Because you could,
Right.
to be our young reviewer
Yes.
is what I was called.
Anonymous.
Right. So when we get back, I want to talk about something that you would love to do in sports, because something's going on and happening and stuff that has been at the top of my list. Not maybe the total top, but near the top of my list for a long time now. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Back as we have another hour to go before we take you to the best show ever. Tyrone, Ricky, Silvana, they're all getting ready for their show to bring you some hours of entertainment. I got to tell you, I'm driving home yesterday, and Tyrone mentions my name. I'm like a little kid when that happens. I love when Tyrone mentions me, whether it's agreeing with me, disagreeing with me, or just thought-provoking stuff. Like, I do. I'm like, oh, cool. Tyrone's talking about me. Like, you know. But, yeah, a little bit of a debate going on yesterday with some Eagles stuff and how you look. And I know the morning show was talking about this morning. Somebody put out there about Jalen Hurts being good or not good or top 15 quarterback or whatever. What I said yesterday was, yeah, I am. I've seen one great season, and I've seen another season that fell apart towards the end. So, yeah, to me, I'm still on the fence. Like, I've seen a lot of really good stuff out of Jalen Hurts. More good than bad. And there hasn't been a lot of bad. But I'm on the fence as to say
which one he's going to be.
Yeah. And that's what my point was yesterday was, is he going to be top 3 MVP candidate more times than not? Or is he going to be the guy that, you know, combines for like 20 turnovers and the team doesn't meet expectations? Now, it doesn't all fall on him at all. I'm not saying that. But just in my mind, I just got to observe more. And I've seen stuff. Look, I was a guy that, again, my buddy Rock, I'm bringing up. Rock was the one when they went 14-3 that year. He's like, yeah, but Hurts doesn't do this or that or the other. And I'm like, does it matter? They won. At one point, it was like, they've won 25 of 31 games that he started. What difference does it make? And then last year, you had the downfall. So I am. I'm a little more, it's not skeptical at all. I'm a little more, all right, I just have to see. My arms are crossed. I'm watching. I'm not looking for bad. I'm just looking for honestly what I see. Yeah. And but yeah, I do. I it's funny. I get like I get happy when I hear Tyrone mention my name. Like, oh, cool. He listened to what I had to say, whether you agreed or not. So you have Tyrone coming up at 2:00. I've often thought of when I was a little kid, and I brought this up that I like to play every sport. We would play street hockey. We were lucky enough we had this area behind our house where I played basketball, but they also had, besides a basketball court, they had an enclosed cage where members of the gym would play racquetball they could hit to themselves. We turned it into, we played hockey in there. It was smaller, but we were lucky that one of the guys had those Milek pads, outdoor pads. Mm-hmm. We would make our own waffle boards. I would get the cardboard from the cases of beer that my dad would have delivered, and I'd tie them together around a baseball, my regular hockey glove. Mm-hmm. Then you'd have your, baseball mitt as your catcher for the goalie. So anyway, we would do all that. Of course, we played baseball, stickball, basketball, football, always said that my favorite sport was the one I was playing. Whatever one I was playing, that was my favorite sport. Then I used to get asked as a kid, if you could do one thing in professional sports, what would it be? When I was a kid, because it was so far-fetched to me to be able to do this, it was to score a goal in an NHL game. Because I could never fathom skating well enough and be able to control a puck well enough, let alone put it past someone to go into a goal. That was mine as a kid. Did you ever think of something you would love to do professionally?
Home run. Hit a home run. Yeah. I just had this conversation the other day. I think hitting a home run would be just the most amazing thing of all time. Just the whole theatrics of it, the fact that, it goes out of the ballpark, the fan, somebody gets to catch it, you get to touch all the bases. To me, that's just, and it's such an incredible achievement. I was having the argument, shockingly, with my child, what was cooler, home run or a hole in one? And he said, definitely a hole in one, Mom. And I was like, there's no way. Mimi, my mom, his grandma, was like, she's gotten 3 of those. Mimi can't hit a home run. Mimi can get a hole in one.
Wow.
I've also never
look at it differently.
I've never gotten a hole in one either, so I guess I shouldn't say anything. But I
was looking at it that I can guarantee every major league player, non-pitcher, has hit 10 home runs, whereas you can't say that about every professional golfer that they've hit a hole in one 10 times.
No. You can't. I still think it's cooler.
All right, let me ask you this too, Tom, before I get to you about what you would want to do. How would you react if you hit a hole in one?
I'd
Be
lose
honest.
my mind.
Really?
Yes, I'd lose my mind.
So this
I'd probably laugh. I would, because it would just be hilarious.
This came up on the golf course the other day. And the group of guys I was playing, great group of guys.
On Thursday?
They said, how would you react if you hit a hole-in-one? Because, like, in the times we've been playing with you, Bob, you hit it, and Kincade will talk about that. It's like, if I hit a big putt or if I chip in, I don't react much. I'm just kind of like, oh, cool. I've seen people hit holes in one and run the length of the course, throw their club, and run to the hole to grab it. I think I'd be like, yeah, that was cool. I'm glad I'm with you guys. I don't think I'd have much reaction.
I would say probably OMG like 1,000 times, and I think I'd laugh.
What's the closest you've come?
Oh, I got one really close. It was actually at my Quicks event. I won closest to the pin, big surprise, but it came very close. It was within a foot.
Yeah, I had a foot and 3 fingers one time.
Yeah.
And I think I missed the putt. Anyway.
Oh, no.
Tom, I'm kidding. Tom, if you could do something in professional, maybe you thought about it when you were a kid, like something you could do in professional sports, because I have something that's going on that I want to share with everybody that I've often thought about.
I mean, I feel like every kid when they're growing up, you have that basketball hoop, whether it's down the street, whether it's out in your backyard, everybody wants to hit a buzzer beater game winner. So if you had an opportunity to do that, if I had an opportunity, maybe I'll just be the bench guy. I'll be the guy that comes in the 48th minute. I'll hit that corner 3 for you.
All right.
A buzzer beater game winner would be awesome.
Robert Ory.
There you go.
That's you.
Yeah, that would be
Big shot Tom. That's what they call me.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, what's even better, having your kid hit one.
Yeah, no, that would be cool.
Like my kid.
I'm good. No, thanks.
My kid hit one in
no, give it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want all the glory.
You're a selfish bastard and you don't have kids yet. But when you get there, the coolest thing, my kid hit one, my son Kyle hit one against the team right at the buzzer, won the game. And my reaction is to look to see how everybody else reacted. Right? So I look down on the floor, and of course my eyes go to him. You couldn't tell that he did anything.
Really?
He could have missed the shot for his reaction. He just, turned, didn't want to show anybody up, walks off the court. Team's going nuts, people in the stands are going nuts. He just kind of walks off. I so appreciated that. Like, I like that there wasn't, much of that. I think I'm a little bit like that also. But, yeah, game winner, that's a great one. That's a great one. Maybe somebody else in this room did it too. But I'm not going to brag about myself. No, we're not going to do that. But what I will say is the one thing I would love to do, and it sounds like, oh, yeah, me too, but I don't know why. I want to be a hockey player the day after you win the Stanley Cup.
Because you're seeing what those guys are doing right now?
I swear to God, nobody knows how to party better than hockey players.
It's amazing.
I mean, I can't get off my phone during the breaks. And I was just talking to Donna, my wife, yesterday about it. I don't usually like to pick up my phone during the show unless it's out of necessity. I don't like to be distracted because, as you know, I screw up enough on this show. So if I start looking at other things, I'm really going to be bad. But I just can't get enough of how the Florida Panthers and hockey players as a whole, I think, are just normal, down-to-earth dudes. But, like, the stuff that they come up with. Now, and I'm not condoning any of this. I think it's all in good fun. But they're filling up the Stanley Cup with beer at this bar down there, and they're on the second floor. And as people walk by, the players are throwing the beer on top of them. And now the fans are seeing it, and they're wanting it to happen to them. But some of the stuff that they come up with.
I love it.
It's just crazy. Is that one of the most iconic things ever?
Yeah.
Is drinking out of a Stanley Cup?
Just because it's the same trophy and everybody passes it around, and it's just, one, the thing is massive, but two, it's just it's an iconic, all the trophies are, but that's the most iconic trophy. There's no mistaking it. When it comes in, like we've had it in the building, when it makes tours around to different stadiums. I've seen it at a baseball stadium, and you just look at it, and there's guys guarding it. You just want to go up to and experience it and try to see what names you can see. To me, the way that they celebrate with it is awesome. Everybody gets their day with the cup.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago we were on, and someone was talking about, I have some friends that were friends with Jeff Carter when he lived down in Sea Isle, and they got to drink from the cup. When he brought it down, that was his day. He spent it at Sea Isle with the cup. And some people weren't going to do it. There was a line all the way down the beach from one boat to another boat, from Sea Isle to the next little rowboat over for people to come and see the cup, which I thought was really cool for Jeff Carter to do.
Oh, it's absolutely cool. My sister, I told you before, one of my sisters, her best friend lived across the street from Gene Hart, and they used to babysit Lauren Hart when she was younger, and I'm pretty sure, if it was a long time ago, 50 years ago since Flyers won the Cup, actually. There was something, I think Gene Hart had it at the house, and my sister was able to go over and see it and touch it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
I've never touched it. I've seen it.
I think it was one of those times as a little kid that I got that lump in my throat, and for maybe the first time ever, I told one of my older sisters, that sister, that I hated her because she didn't, somehow get me to go see it. I'm the biggest sports fan in this family, and you didn't get me over there? Yeah, so that kind of annoyed me. But what are you going to do? Those things happen. The Stanley Cup celebration to me is just
the best.
So iconic. And I am not downplaying other sports. Everybody works hard to get where they're going to be. I don't know if there's as much of a grind to get a trophy than there is in hockey. I'm watching that game last night, and, you're looking at all these guys that are all pale as can be because they don't get out in the sun. They're on an ice rink all the time. And, they don't get all that many days off, and when they do, they're still in the rink. And the beating that these guys take night in and night out, I mean, literally, it's a sport. Not football, I know it's once a week. It's literally a sport where you're skating as hard as you can at each other, and there's a real good chance that you're going to collide more than a couple of times a game. Florida comes out last night, and it's their game plan to really hit Edmonton and try to slow down the great offensive team that they are. It kind of hit me last night when the game got over, and it got late in the game, about 5 minutes to go in the game. Edmonton's trying to catch up, and Draisaitl and McDavid are out there all the time because they need a goal. They were so gassed at the end of that game, and it's not just that game. I'm looking at these guys saying, my God, they should just get a month off to stay in bed. Do you think hockey is the most grinding sport as far as getting to that final and winning it?
Yeah, the 82-game season, the grind of obviously the postseason for them. The only other one, obviously basketball has 82, but they don't play the same physical style.
No.
Right?
No. You can come out of it.
You could have maybe like the Pistons did in the Bad Boys.
Physical, yeah.
But that was about it as far as how overall. And you'll look at some of the, let's say you look at the box score and be like, ooh, he got 25 minutes of ice time. And in the vacuum of anything else, you're thinking, well, you only play for 25 minutes. But it's the way that they play for those 25 minutes and whatever else. And you're talking about how gassed they were. Watching those guys just really have to go skate hard into the corner, hard into the ice. Everything's a real crisp, real start to stop finish. You know what I mean? You have to start and stop. Yeah. It's such a different game the way that they do that. Imagine running full force all the time, then stopping, and then I gotta go run full force again.
Yeah.
Right into another human.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
It's one of the only sports that you see constantly throughout the game. Participants are breathing heavy.
Yeah.
Think about that.
They go to the skate over and all right.
Yeah, now wide receivers, cornerbacks, say a team's down, they have to run pass plays all the time. Those guys will get gassed a little bit, but they can come out for a play and all that. But after every shift, those guys are up and down. It's time. I always say this, Tom. I was never a good skater.
Still can't do it.
Yeah, we'd have fun going out and trying. People would say, goalies are probably not the best of skaters, and they are the best skaters on the team usually. Go stand on ice skates. Just stand. There's 20 minutes in a period, stoppages. Just go stand on ice skates for 28 minutes straight and just stand there. Your legs will be singing, right?
Imagine then having to go down and up, down and up, down and up.
Yeah, and then side to side and looking all around. But just stand. If we get a normal, Connor Thomas, let's lace him up because, he's the best athlete that ever, has been on the face of this earth.
Oh.
Give him, self-labeled. Yeah, self-labeled. Give him ice skates. Go say just stand there for 28 minutes. I'm telling you, it hurts.
Yeah.
And the fact that a goalie does that and does everything else you said, and he does that 3 times during a game. Oh, let's not even count overtime that might come. Yeah. I just think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just think it is the most grueling sport to win a championship. And it's the Game 7 I'll watch every minute, every time.
I mean, that was tremendous. I was really hoping. The only way it would have been better would have been overtime, Game 7.
I thought it was going to happen. I did.
They were peppering there at the end. Yeah. I thought, come on, just break through. Give us one. We just want to have. It was such a great series in the end because honestly, when it started out, the Celtics started 3-0, and then the Panthers started 3-0, and I'm like, well, this is super boring. And then the Oilers stormed back. I'm like, just give us a little bit more. We're not ready. Just a little bit more. I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to go to
You
overtime.
wonder if, like, Edmonton's coach, was it Knobloch, right? If he kind of regrets going to his star guys as much as he did in that third period, because they had nothing left in the last, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of that game. Now, obviously, it's easy to say now because if they're not out there, Florida gets a goal, then you're like, all right, why aren't the best players out there at all times? They had absolutely nothing left in those last couple minutes, and you could tell.
Well, at one point, Connor McDavid went to make a pass, and he literally fell to his knees. And I was like, whoa, that you can tell he's tired. And then when he got up, he kind of stood there. He didn't even skate. I think the puck went back in the Edmonton zone, and they were about to start a rush. He wasn't rushing anywhere.
He was like, I'm just going to wait here for a second.
There ain't no rush in me. I just got to
catch up with you guys.
I'm just trying to get on my 2 feet. But Edmonton's is a fun system to watch where they like to get the puck behind their own net and throw long outlet passes. I kind of equate it to the Indiana Pacers, to like Iowa women's basketball team, where they want to get the game out in front of them, and it's not like a carry up or a dribble up, it's throw it out there, and they have the players that can do it. Draisaitl and McDavid are just two of my favorite players to watch.
And speaking of that, can I mention why yesterday bummed me out a little bit? We're excited about Michkov coming over, right? A lot of fun. We have a guy. McDavid's in his 7th, 8th season, and they just got to the Stanley Cup for the first time. And McDavid is a much better player than Michkov probably is going to be. Like, McDavid might be the greatest ever. And they haven't gotten one yet. 7 years with the best player of this generation. It just it humbled me a little bit as a Flyers fan because I was excited about Michkov coming over, and it made me think, man, we're still a ways away from getting to this thing.
You bite your tongue there, Tom. Don't you say that.
Don't you rain on our
Stop
parade.
it. Yeah, what are you talking about?
I just said bummed me out. That's all. I'll be honest with you.
Raining on our
Today's
Michkov
about
parade.
honesty.
Oh, I don't like Tom anymore.
That's
he
not
used to be
true.
one of my favorites. Now, I'm
Still
looking
is.
up Connor McDavid's stats because when you get to be around sports for a little while, people come and go quicker than you think. And, like, the fact that you just said 8 years in the league, I'm like, no way.
Yeah,
He was just
he was
his
like-
third year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This was his 9th year in the
Incredible.
league.
Honestly,
Oh, my
you could've
God. He's
told me
only
it was-
27 now still.
And they just got to their first cup with Connor McDavid.
Michael Jordan won his first NBA title, 8 years into the league?
Yeah, I just don't want to wait that long. That's all.
Oh, I know. We won.
You've been
Yes.
waiting this long already.
Yeah,
That's
what's another 10 years?
Right.
Awesome.
It's been 50.
Can't wait.
You'll really savor it then.
Yeah, you will. All right, when we get back, we do have some text messages that I want to get to about debate about the Phillies. We'll get to them. Also, just a little bit more talk about the goings-on with the Philadelphia Phillies right now, because we hit on something a little bit earlier. I want to dive a little deeper into the keys of the Phillies, because there are so many. I want to put some out there to discuss with Amy, with Tom. All that and more when we come back. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back as we're hitting 1:30 here on this beautiful Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day on the day that's just the worst of the week. Tuesday's got like no taste. It's got no meaning. It's got like, why are you here?
Tacos.
There was a reason growing up on Tuesday when I was a little kid. I think some of the best shows were on Tuesday. Like
when I was growing up, it was either Fridays.
Well, Thursdays was great in the 80s when you had like all those. I was always going Friday nights when I was younger. They had open court at this local grammar school that I didn't go to. It was the public grammar school, and their rims were only 8 feet tall.
So you go dominate.
So we would go and like there'd be tons of kids in there. We'd go up there like, yeah, I'm getting rim, and like 8 feet tall basket. You thought you were cool. So Friday nights wasn't big, but when I was a little kid, Tuesday nights I think like Happy Days was on Tuesdays. So that was cool. Like.
The Brady
Don't
Bunch.
look at me like that.
I'm just waiting for the other
not
shows.
Brady Bunch. I think Laverne and Shirley. I didn't watch Laverne and Shirley, though, but Happy Days was where it was at. And then I got Henry Winkler making money off of his father-in-law's eyesight, which is,
Not a fan of that?
I didn't bring that up to me. Somebody brought that up to me. They were like, hey, you're probably old enough to see Fonzie, right? And I said, yeah, it was, it was a great show in its time. I was a little kid or whatever. And they're like, so now he's making money off of his father-in-law having degenerative eye disorder or whatever. And I was like, that's horrible. Don't even bring that up to me. No, I don't want to hear that. So, all right, so we talked a little bit earlier, Aim, about keys to this Phillies team. And it kind of goes along with, how many are there? If they're missing one, do they have enough to overcome that? Ranger Suarez is currently sitting at 10-1 with like a 1.75 ERA. Another word we use often, but I don't think that's sustainable. I just don't. Ranger Suarez is probably going to come back down to earth because right now he's not on Earth. He's on another planet. I think he's probably going to come back down to earth a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't think his ERA for the season is going to stay under
2.
No, I don't think it's going to stay
They'll stay under
2.
3, I bet.
I was going to say 250-ish.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. So that's like a little bit of a slide. Is that a key that what's the key to Ranger Suarez for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think the key is to whatever the slide is, it's limited slide. Like Wheeler having that one bad outing or 2 bad outings, like in the entire season. I think that's what you're looking for, is that the blips are just a blip, and they're not something that's going to turn into a concern. For Ranger, there's nothing that's been shown that would let you believe that he's going to have that big swoon where his ERA is going to balloon. Maybe he'll have even his bad outings, even the outings we look at for this season and think, wow, that wasn't that good of a version of Ranger. They're still decent. He still gets you, usually 5 innings, almost 6, even on his bad outings. He'll give up a couple of earned runs when he just doesn't have it. But he keeps you in the game. I think limiting, even if they're not on, limiting any kind of swoon or damage, if it's a particular game, I think is the key for Ranger Suarez, because he's a calm, cool, collected customer, right? There's nothing that really gets him. He's not super at jazz. He's not super low. That's why he's been able to kind of maintain this, and I think that's the key for him, is just keeping everything as even and close to the even mark as possible. Nothing too high, nothing too low, including his ERA.
Tom, that all doable?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's so tough when it comes to the ERA in particular, specifically, is you just have 1 or 2 blow-up games, that ERA inflates. Like Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, was it last week, I believe, had 8 earned runs. His ERA...
4 home runs.
Yeah, exactly. The ERA bumped up like almost, a full earned run, basically.
Yeah, it was almost a full point.
So that's the one thing. Rangers done a great job of being able to not have those blow-up innings in games. I think the most earned runs he's allowed in the game this year is 4. Is he able to avoid that one blow-up game where it's 7 earned runs, 6 earned runs to make that ERA go above 2 to go in the mid-2s or something like that? So far, he's been able to hold it down. I think that's really tough to do throughout an entire 162-game season, 30 starts in a year. So I do expect the ERA to go up a little bit, but I think we're going to see the same dominant Ranger for pretty much the entirety of the rest of the year.
It was one of my favorite outings of the year by him. And was it at Colorado where he was just getting hammered in the first inning? It was Colorado. Yep. And that might have been the game that that might be the only game he gave up 4 earned runs.
I think it was.
I should have looked it up, but I was just thinking about it as you were talking. That he comes out and it's like, whoa, he's getting, crushed.
And he was getting hit hard.
hard.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, first inning and a half are over, and the guy gets like 13 straight outs. Like, that is my favorite. I shouldn't say favorite. It might be the most telling outing for me.
Is that the one where he caught the comebacker?
Oh,
Yes,
the real cool
yes.
one?
That's what.
Before, not the one that he almost went on the IL, but before that, he almost got hit in the head, I
Yes,
think.
and he like caught it, and I remember thinking that maybe that shook him up enough because he really calmed down either right before that and right after that. I think I did post game that show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I was trying to look up the game, but it
Yeah.
was. I remember.
That was Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, it was. Yep.
It was. It
Yeah,
was
I did that
probably right about here.
Yeah.
I'm like 90% sure you're right, Bob. I think he allowed 4 runs in the first inning or 2 and then kind of settled down.
Yeah, and to me it was what stuck out the most. He let up 5 in the first 2 innings. 2 in the first, 3 in the second. Phillies get down 5, and then he gives up nothing after that. Now, he only wound up going
5 and a third? 6.
5. Here we are. 6.
Yeah.
3 hits. He only gave up 3 hits. 4 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. Gave up a home run that I think was might have been a 3-run shot, but like I don't want to say favorite, but most telling to me, like, man,
That's
this
what I mean.
guy,
Yeah.
and you brought it up, Aim, cool, calm, and collected, can do that. Okay. Can Alec Boehm keep up what he's doing? 313 average. He's like one of the MLB leaders in RBI. Seems to be very, very clutch with runners in scoring position.
Very comfortable, too, at the plate right now.
Very, right?
Even the little dip he had in June, and there was... I know.
Took a day off. Rob
people were like,
Thompson.
"Oh, I don't know. Maybe Boehm's coming back. He's down to 293. He's down to 287. Like that was laughable. If you told me Alec Boehm was going to finish the year 287, I'd be like, great, thank you.
Where's he
Sign
going
me
to
up.
finish?
Perfect. I think he finishes right at...
I think that's a good number that you just put there.
Give me a little bit higher. Give me 290.
Okay.
But I do think he continues. I think he'll have another dip. I think that's normal. But I think between 285 and 290 is a really good finish.
Is that
I'll
fair,
take it.
Tom? Fair batting average for Alec Boehm?
Seems a little high. I was thinking more like 275, but I think that...
Again, you'd still take that.
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely taking that, especially when the RBI are going to be there. He's going to hit probably over 100. He'll be top 5, top 10 all season long. And the big thing with Alec Boehm that I think is sustainable, the runners in scoring position. He's been good at that since he came up. His rookie year, he was good at that. That's something that's not going to go away, especially with some of the guys who are hitting in front of him. I think the batting average drops a little bit, but he's going to be pretty much the same Boehm we've seen all year long.
Let's go to the bullpen because I still say, and Tom, you said it during the show at one point, I believe you said it, that, trade deadline, get another arm for the bullpen or whatever. I said earlier in the week, it was last week, we weren't with you. I'm okay with the bullpen. Like, yeah, I hear you, and everybody will always say it throughout the history of time, like, yeah, you can get another arm for the bullpen. I think your other arm for the bullpen was to me, it was like, all right, let's bring back, Sir Anthony has to get it back. And then I look and I say,
his
oh my
numbers.
God, he didn't give up an earned run since May 3rd. It's been a month and, so many amount of days. Now he got hit for a couple the other night. But I don't know. I think this bullpen is phenomenal.
It's a great bullpen. There's all-stars in that bullpen. Multiple.
There are. Multiple. Hoffman and Strom?
Strom, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
ERA's both under 1, I believe. Both those guys.
And I don't want to use sustainable, but are those keys that can stay key? Do they have to stay as key as they are?
Can they keep keying? And continue the key? Yeah, I think so. I mean, because one of the things that you just brought up when you mentioned Ranger, even on like his not a great day, 6 innings pitched, they've been able to save the bullpen. The bullpen has not been taxed. There was a couple of series. The Rockies series was one, and then I feel like a couple since then. You're looking at some spots, and they're like, all right, maybe the bullpen got a little bit used too much. Boston, Orioles, some of those. But really, overall, this has been a lightly used bullpen, especially when you compare it to last year. And that'll set up nicely for September and October.
I agree. It's gotten to the point, like last night, you had Aaron Nola going, and he went 6, and they were like, yeah, nobody's warming up in the pen. I guess he'll come out for the 7th. And he was only at like 70-some pitches, whatever. He was awfully low. And I was, sure, why wouldn't he? Like, of course he should. Because, and I started thinking in my head, oh, my God, I'm used to them going at most 3 innings for a bullpen. 7, 8, and 9, at most. And then last night it was only 8 and 9. It is amazing what these starting pitchers have done for this team.
It's a huge
this
boost.
year. won't come to the point. I guess it was one point last night. Nola was coming off the field, and they said that's his 100th inning pitched. And I was like, okay, why are we even looking at that? Like, everything seems to be fine right now. Anything overworked, underworked as far as pitching goes in your guys' mind?
I think they've managed it pretty well, to be honest. And I think you're seeing it. I think that's one of the reasons these guys are not having these big kind of dips and swoons. If there is a swoon, it's kind of like, it's not sustained. Talking about sustainability. There's no doubt in your mind you're thinking, well, he had a bad outing. Like when Wheeler gave up all the 8 earned and 4 home runs for the first time probably ever, and I think in his career.
It was, yeah.
There was no doubt in your mind the next outing. There wasn't any concern. You thought, oh, my gosh, Zach Wheeler could be up. No, I thought, all right, well, that was a blip. Zach Wheeler, yep, right back to where I thought he was going to be.
I'm glad you brought that up because this also crossed my mind last night. I want to ask both of you if it did yours. Aaron Nola has had more ups than downs in his Philly career. He's going to go down as one of those pitchers. God, he was a lot better than I thought. I think that's going to be the headline on Aaron Nola. He's retired for a year or two, and you're going to go, wow, not you two in particular. He was really good. Were you nervous? He had 2 bad outings previously, prior to last night.
Nola,
yeah. In previous years, you might have been.
Yeah.
Why not this year? Because it's an up year, but because of the way the team is going? Because of the way he's pitching?
Because of the way the team is going.
Isn't that wild?
I don't know why. Like that, when you asked me that, my first thought was like, because I don't worry about this team as a whole. Which doesn't make any sense because it should be, I should assign whatever the feeling I have to Aaron Nola specifically.
Because he's the one pitching, exactly.
This is him. You're asking me about him. But overall, I'm just thinking like, no, that's not the vibes I'm getting. The vibes I'm getting are they're going to figure it out because that's how this team has been doing all year long. I think Nola has figured out. I think this is more of an up than a down year. There was that time, April. I kind of want to throw April out because I feel like April is almost like an anomaly when you look at this season as the way it's kind of been going since then. But there were some times in April and even the beginning of the May, you were like, oh, I don't know. Like this is, and then he seemed to find something. His strikeouts are always high, but his earned runs can get up there. And we know he's prone to give up the home run. So there was some times in there, but there was a start. It was, I think, the very end of May. It wasn't in Colorado, but it was maybe right around that time. I thought, seemed to be pinpointing a little bit better, seemed to be finding the places. I'm not worried of him anymore. Not that I was really ever worried in the first place, but it's because the team's good.
Did it cross your mind at all, Tom? Like, Nola could be in for a dip? Because I'll be honest, it didn't with me. And I think it is, like Amy said, because of the team. And I think that's good for Aaron Nola also.
I think obviously the team being as good as they are creeps into my mind when watching Nola pitch, but he's just been so damn good this year. He really has. He's had a couple bad outings for Nola. Every pitcher's going to have a couple bad outings. He's been much more consistent this year. He's looked a whole lot better than he did last year. I feel very comfortable with Aaron Nola right now. I do. I don't know if it's him fixing it down the stretch last year. Remember he changed which side of the pitch clock he's looking at when it came
over his left shoulder or right shoulder, yeah.
Since then, he's been really good.
Yeah.
I trust Aaron Nola this season, which sounds crazy to say based on what we saw last year. But no, I feel good about Nola. He's probably going to have another blow-up a couple weeks from now. The start after, I'll probably feel pretty good about him then, too. So I feel really good about this team, and I feel really good about Nola this
year. It's funny. I was watching last night, Tom, and it was like it was a little bit later, 5th, 6th inning maybe, and Nola wasn't in trouble at all. Maybe a guy on first or something, and they go to him, and he's putting his cross back into his thing, and I'm watching all the things that he does between pitches, and then he gets ready to go, and I'm like, wow, if this was 5 years ago, we would be commenting, look how fast Aaron Nola pitches. Look at him. He's ready to go after. Last night it was like, you love your husband, you love your wife. Sometimes you just have to remind them or they remind you. Last night reminded me why I love the pitch clock. And so I had to be like, oh, yeah, if I haven't told you lately,
all right, pitch
I
clock.
love you.
I appreciate you.
I'm serious because, you remember, we all remember how it used to be with Aaron Nola. Like, all right, dude, come on, stop throwing over to first. Stop looking at first. Just throw the ball.
Yeah, stop getting settled again.
I'm telling you, I absolutely love it.
It's funny. I first time I remember seeing the pitch clock and thinking, like, how would this affect certain pitchers? And I thought, Cliff Lee is a person that the pitch clock laughs at him. He would have pitch clocked the pitch clock. That guy pitched the fastest I've ever seen anybody pitch. He wouldn't have ever needed it. But there's other guys like Aaron Nola that really take their time. And what was it, the last series here? There was Diamondbacks had several pitch clock violations. I feel
Yeah,
like there was like
those did.
Yeah,
four,
they did. Yep.
right? 4 or 5.
The Phillies, the fans started counting it down.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
missed a
that's
couple.
right.
I thought that was really cool.
I think it's interesting to me, like how I would want to know, like a pitcher that needs a lot more time, like how has the pitch clock affected them really? Do they really feel like they need to speed up their mechanisms, or was the preparation, for each pitch slower because that was just how they did it, and now they can't fool around anymore?
You know the fielders love it to death.
Yeah, like let's go. They're sitting
Who
out
wants
there.
to be out 100-degree heat and watching a guy
Especially last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Let's go.
constantly doing stuff. But yeah, I had to remind the pitch clock.
That
I
you
love
loved it.
you.
It's nice of you.
I did. I reminded it last night. Hey, real quick, 1 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. All right, when we get back, we're going to take you up to the best show ever. Tyrone, Ricky, and Sil.
Who?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I forget, but some blonde-headed girl. They're going to take you up at the 2 o'clock hour. Take you to 6 o'clock tonight. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thanks for being with us as we finish up here, taking you into the best show ever. I've been promising you. A lot of people sent in texts over different things that we've done today, so we're going to go to time to get to some of them. But I do want to say we had a make-up session, not a make-out session, a make-up session. Silvana, again, is a friend of the show. She is. So much so that she and Tom Alvord were talking about trading T-shirts.
T-shirt trading.
T-shirt trading. So she is once again a friend of the show, Tom. Am I correct?
Well, she's promising it now until it actually happens.
Well, and also Ray is not here.
And Ray is not here. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the beef is she and Ray. So we should be okay with it. Ray's not here. We'll have his back if he returns. I'm no promise there, man. He told me if he took a vacation that was good enough, he just might stay.
Yeah, I
there.
wouldn't. I don't blame him.
No, I wouldn't either. So let's get some of these texts that we didn't get to earlier, Tom, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So Edwin in Philly says, good afternoon, Bob, Amy, and Tom. The players I say are the most fun to watch are the obvious: Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Bryce Harper, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. And the biggest debate in sports is none other than MJ versus LeBron, as you guys said. I never got to see MJ play. He won those titles before I was born. I'll just say LeBron's the greatest player I have ever seen.
Fair enough. And for those who didn't see Jordan, I don't think there's even Steph Curry's going to be maybe in the conversation, and could be. He's won 3 titles.
Listen, he's the greatest shooter.
Absolutely.
Durant,
greatest.
maybe.
Yeah, Durant's there too. Yeah, there are some good ones.
Some good players, but yeah, LeBron I think would be the last.
Yeah, I think
certainly
so.
The best of his generation.
Yeah, and as somebody said, he's number 4 in assists all time, let alone being the all-time leading scorer. That's nuts. What else we got, Tom?
All right, we got one from Dawood in Northeast. Must-see TV, that's what Bryce Harper is. Now, hypothetically, if Harper started his career here and played first base the whole time, without a shadow of a doubt, this conversation would be legit as the best first baseman of all time for the Phillies. As of now, Bryce still has a ways to go, however.
Yeah, that's a good
I'll
point.
tell you, we can't, as you said earlier, don't overlook Ryan Howard and what he did, because those 6 years that Amy put out there, his lowest numbers of those 6 years, Bryce Harper may never reach in a year.
Correct.
With the Phillies. So, yeah, let's not overlook that. And this is nothing against Bryce Harper, because I started the show by saying, are we underrating him a little bit? All right, last one, Tom. What do we got?
All right, we got one more here. We'll have a fun one. This is from Rashid in South Philly. The last meal before I die, KFC, original breast and thigh, crab fries from Chickies and Pete's, sweet potato pie, and a tall glass of 7-Up. Do they make 7-Up anymore?
There is 7-Up. Yes, we actually have some in the house.
No, I thought it was Starry. Didn't they change?
Yeah.
Oh, no. We just got a, those minis? I think we just got a pack of.
Oh, yeah, the little minis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I think it's 7-Up.
I think Sierra Mist is replaced.
Ah, that's right. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, Sprite and 7-Up and all those are
the same kind of
the
vibe.
same,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Ginger ale, does that remind you of anything?
Being sick.
Yep.
Exactly.
100%.
Saltines.
So my daughter wasn't feeling good last night. Sure enough, her boyfriend came over with
Ginger
a thing
ale.
of ginger ale. I don't know why that had
It
healing
doesn't.
powers.
You
but
said you liked it when it got
flat.
super flat.
Oh, yeah.
You know how long it
All
would
my
take for
soda has
ginger
to be flat.
Yeah, but ginger ale takes a long time to get flat.
That's probably why I was sick longer than most other people. I want to thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the best show ever. We'll be back with you tomorrow with Amy and Tom.